The woman was immersed in a sweet dream, a man holding her tightly in his arms, whispering in her ear. Every nerve in her body felt his intoxicating breath. The warmth of his palm and those captivating eyes, it all made her heart race, leaving her to savor the memory all night long. But she was awakened by a series of sweet calls of mommy. She sat up in a hurry, and it took her a moment to come back to her senses. It was just a dream. Her son kept rushing the newly appointed director of services, reminding her of an important client today, so she hurried off to take a shower. Looking at herself in the mirror, she couldn't help but sigh. Gan Yuan, it's been 6 years. What are you still holding on to still be dreaming of him so often? Then, she neatly tied her hair into a bun and put on a pair of plain, black-framed glasses. She put on her outdated business suit, which even her own son found too frumpy, so much so that the little smarty pants had to worry about his mom. Mommy, you're not young anymore. Dressing so dowdily every day. How are you ever going to get married again? Gan Yuan looked embarrassed. This was truly a double critical hit. Then she immediately said, if I can't get married, I'll just adopt a son. The little boy said helplessly, all right then, I guess I'll have to take care of mommy. What a thoughtful little darling. But his next words left Gan Yuan even more dumbfounded. Mommy, I want to take a day off tomorrow. Let's agree on it now. We'll just say Grandpa passed away. Gan Yuan understood. The reason her son wanted to take leave was that other classmates had both parents with them. He didn't want others to know he didn't have a father, nor did he want to trouble his mother. Gan Yuan's heart ached for her son. Not even 5 years old, yet he was already so independent, and his personality was becoming more and more like him. And just like that, the man Gan Yuan was embracing in her dream a moment ago suddenly appeared before her. Gan Yuan was just marveling at how enthusiastic the fans of Supermodel Nana were, swarming the entire hotel and making it impenetrable. Just then, a motorcade drove up. Just as everyone was wondering why the important client had arrived so early, a luxury sports car pulled up. Gan Yuan hurried forward to greet them, but the person who got out of the car was unexpectedly him. Huang Fuzhu. Gan Yuan was stunned. It had been 6 years. How could he be here? Huang Fuzhu walked up to Gan Yuan and stopped. On the surface, Gan Yuan pretended to be calm, but inside, a storm was raging. Huang Fuzhu glanced at her and hesitantly called out, Manager Lu. This made Gan Yuan's heart stop, but then she breathed a sigh of relief. She immediately put on a standard smile. Welcome to the Dynasty Hotel. I am the head of the customer service department, Gan Yuan. He just nodded slightly and turned to leave. But his demeanor, his aura, gave Gan Yuan such a familiar feeling. She couldn't help but feel a bit foolish, and there was also an inexplicable sense of loss in her heart. He called her Manager Lu. It seemed he would be an easy client to deal with. However, just then, Director Li and Lu Cheng walked over quickly. The two of them came forward, apologizing profusely. Lu Cheng put on a practiced, professional smile and introduced herself. Mr. Huangfu, for your stay at our hotel this time, I will personally ensure that you receive the most satisfactory service. But Huang Fuzhu completely ignored her and walked straight ahead. At this moment, Gan Yuan was secretly glad that she could finally get rid of this hot potato. Just as she was about to slip away, he unexpectedly turned his head coldly and pointed at Gan Yuan, saying, I want her to serve me. Hearing this, Gan Yuan felt as if she had been struck by lightning. I'm doomed. Is there no escape now? She calmly walked forward, forcing a smile, but inwardly she wondered, did he recognize me? Is that why he specifically requested me? She stole a glance at Huang Fuzhu, not daring to meet his gaze, and ended up startling herself. As expected, she had a guilty conscience. I don't want to. But at this moment, Lu Cheng, who had been suddenly replaced, showed a displeased expression. It's your honor that Mr. Huangfu requested you by name. Seeing her jealous face, it was clear she didn't want to let this opportunity go. Well, there was no choice. Who could argue when he was a VIP of VIPs? She could only reluctantly accept the work handover. Gan Yuan walked forward uneasily. Looking at the handsome man before her, she couldn't help but sigh. It's been 6 years, and he's still so handsome, not aged a bit. But looking at his cold expression, it seems I was overthinking it. He really doesn't seem to recognize me. That's right, it was just a one-night affair. How could he possibly remember? But on the other hand, a sense of loss welled up in her heart again. Soon, they arrived at the room. Huang Fuzhu stood silently by the window, lost in thought. Seeing his silence, Gan Yuan said, if Mr. Huangfu has no other requests. Before she could finish, Huangfu Zhu said something that sent a chill down Gan Yuan's spine. But she could only put on her professional smile and ask, what do you need? I need to be able to find you at any time. Hearing this, Gan Yuan inwardly chuckled. Good thing he didn't recognize her. Then she handed him her business card, saying he could call her anytime if he needed anything. But it wasn't until she walked out of the room that she felt a wave of relief. Joy began to bubble up inside her. He actually didn't recognize me. Does that mean this is just a chance encounter? Maybe everything will pass quickly. Afterwards, she called the security department, her face serious as she arranged the work, insisting on a 24-hour guard post and allowing no one to enter the 56th floor. The person on the other end complained disdainfully. Isn't he just some big shot? Is it necessary to make such a big fuss? Gan Yuan said that the one paying is the boss, but she knew in her heart that he wasn't just a big boss, but also the Prince of Country A, a royal duke, a true nobleman. Just then, the phone rang. In a daze, she remembered it was time for kindergarten to let out. Afterwards, she rushed to the school like a happy little bird that Mommy's son is here. However, as soon as she arrived, she saw the teacher's serious expression. Gan Yuan thought to herself, has this little rascal caused trouble at school again? But unexpectedly, the teacher said, I heard Gantong's grandfather passed away. My condolences. For a moment, Gan Yuan was stunned. But when she came to her senses, she remembered what her son had said that morning. So that's what happened. She immediately gave an embarrassed smile and expressed her thanks. Gan Yuan said to her mischievous son, next time you want to ask for leave, are you going to say your dad died? This sentence immediately made Gantong's eyes light up. Daddy isn't dead. Gan Yuan suddenly felt like she had dug her own grave. To avoid unnecessary trouble before, she had lied to her son that his father was gone. It seemed that lying also required skill. The little boy suddenly walked up to Gan Yuan and said solemnly, a modeling agency came to the kindergarten looking for models today. I thought it was pretty good, so I agreed. Hearing this, Gan Yuan laughed happily and said, I didn't expect my son to already know how to share Mommy's financial burden. Mommy was just joking when she said you'd support her. Besides, don't you dislike having your picture taken? The little boy continued, if I'm chosen, there will be a high salary every year. That way, we could buy a house to live in and won't have to move so frequently anymore. At this moment, Gan Yuan felt both heartbroken and touched. Indeed, hiding and moving constantly for 6 years was really tiring. If only they could settle down. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but admire her son for knowing how to earn money for the family at such a young age. Mommy didn't dote on you for nothing. To reward the little boy, Gan Yuan said she would take him out for a big dinner that night. Hearing this, Gantong happily shouted that he wanted to go to her hotel for steak. Oh no, Huangfu Zhu was still at the hotel at this time. They might run into each other. But on second thought, the hotel is so big, they couldn't possibly be that unlucky to bump into him, right? Gantong arrived at his mommy's hotel. The little boy was about to go wash his hands before eating steak, but a drunk man walked towards him. The little boy tried his best to dodge, but he accidentally tripped on something. Just as he was about to fall to the ground, a large, warm hand caught him. Gantong took the opportunity to hug the man's waist tightly. Huangfu Zhu instinctively protected Gantong and said to the drunk man in disgust, watch where you're going. Then he gently asked Gantong if he was okay. At this moment, Gantong was a little stunned, looking dazed and staring with his big blue eyes. But then he politely said, thank you, uncle. Then he happily ran off. At this, Huangfu Zhu couldn't help but think that the child was not bad and would be very suitable as a child model for his company. But those big, round blue eyes surfaced in his mind, feeling that they looked exactly like his own. Thinking of this, Huangfu Zhu immediately realized something. He turned around to chase after him, only to find that the boy was already gone. Just then, his assistant ran over Mr. Huangfu, the clients have all arrived. It seems there's no time today. He looked in the direction Gantong had just run off, a sense of loss in his heart. On the other side, Gantong and Gan Yuan were enjoying the steak that Uncle Chow had specially prepared for them. While happily gnawing on his steak, Gantong perked up his ears to eavesdrop on the conversation. He overheard Uncle Chow and Annie Me chatting happily. As soon as Uncle Chow left, Gantong couldn't wait to say, Mommy, if you date Uncle Chow, I won't object. Gan Yuan was a little embarrassed by the sudden remark, but Gantong continued, Uncle Chow is tall, handsome, and has a good temperament, but more importantly, his cooking is delicious. So he wasn't looking for a partner for his mom, but a private chef for himself. At this, Gan Yuan couldn't help but tease her good son. Then how about making Uncle Chow your dad? Hearing this, Gantang paused for a moment, then declared, absolutely not. Gan Yuan said happily, since you don't want to, then stop playing matchmaker. Then she affectionately patted her son's head and said, let's go swimming later. Gan Yuan gently pushed open the door, but before she could speak, she was stunned by the sight before her, her eyes shining like stars. The handsome face and strong chest left Gan Yuan speechless for a moment. Isn't this the man from my dreams? To ease the awkwardness, Gan Yuan coughed twice. Huang Fu Zhu turned at the sound, and his charming face startled Gan Yuan. She forced a smile and said, Mr. Huang Fu, what can I do for you? Then he waved his hand, and only then did she notice another person in the room. Receiving Huang Fu Zhu's instruction, the assistant hurried forward and said that they wanted to use the hotel's rooftop for an event. Therefore, Mr. Huang Fu's schedule had changed, and he would need to stay here for another 10 days. What 10 days? Are you kidding me? Is he planning to overstay his welcome in Linshan? Mr. Huang Fu, I'm very sorry, but the rooftop is already fully booked. I'm afraid we can't meet your request. Hearing Gan Yuan's words, Huang Fu Zhu immediately said, I'll pay the compensation. You go negotiate with the client. Still with that non-negotiable look, Gan Yuan had no choice but to agree. At this moment, Gan Yuan cursed him over 100 times in her heart. This bastard, has he gotten addicted to being served? He wants to stay for another 10 days. Can't this Huang Fu Zhu feel that he's being disliked? Just as she was waiting for the elevator, Huang Fu Zhu walked over. The two looked at each other for a moment without a word, then entered the elevator together. In such a small space, the atmosphere was a bit strange. Both were lost in their own thoughts. Gan Yuan was wondering about the reason he was staying, while Huang Fu Zhu was thinking, this Gan Yuan clearly has a good figure. Why does she hide it? She dresses so primly, yet she's like a cunning fox, occasionally revealing that sharp gaze. No, it's those eyes. Huang Fu Zhu suddenly realized she looked very much like that woman from before. He couldn't help but probe, Manager Gan. How long have you been working here? Gan Yuan was startled. Did he discover something? Feeling uneasy, she carefully replied, almost 2 years. Huang Fu Zhu then asked, where did you work before? The question was too sudden, and she didn't know how to answer. Just then, a group of people entered the elevator. Gan Yuan breathed a sigh of relief, but she felt her hand being touched and instantly snapped back to reality. Her heart raced, her cheeks flushed, and then she quickly hurried away. However, this action made Huang Fu Zhu extremely displeased. He thought, does this woman find me disgusting? Why? At this moment, Gan Yuan hastily squeezed out of the elevator from the crowd, her cheeks burning red. If she stayed any longer, she would definitely be exposed. She mocked herself inwardly. Gan Yuan, what are you shy about? It was just a touch of the hand, wasn't it? On the other side, Gantang was confidently posing for his audition photos. However, this scene was also seen by Huang Fu Zhu. He walked in and, with just a casual glance, was captivated by this child. It's actually that kid. The staff hurriedly asked, are you satisfied with this new model? Huang Fu Zhu didn't say much, just directly asked someone to call the child's guardian. Gantang, hearing this from the side, said he wasn't accompanied by a guardian. Then he confidently stated, let's talk about the contract first. As long as you agree to my conditions, I'll sign. This attitude from Gantang piqued Huang Fu Zhu's interest. To have such an heir at such a young age. He curiously asked Gantang what his conditions were. I want a 2-year salary advance. As soon as he said this, everyone was stunned. Such a little kid with such a big demand. Is he short on money? Gantang calmly shook his head. I'm not short on money, but I'm short at home. Moving is tiring. I don't want mommy and I to keep moving. Huang Fu Zhu was surprised. Such a decisive child actually came from a single-parent family. At the same time, he also wondered where this child got his confidence. Why did he think he would agree immediately? Gantang listed a series of reasons, easily conquering his curiosity. Huang Fu Zhu smiled with satisfaction, shook hands with Gantang, indicating a successful cooperation, and instructed someone to contact Gantang's guardian to sign the contract. Then the assistant, Gang Chao, ruffled the little boy's head and asked, what's your name? My name is Gantang. However, This name reminded him of the woman from 6 years ago. As he finished discussing the contract and was about to leave, Gontang suddenly asked for his name. He said his name without thinking, but how was he supposed to explain this name? Just as he was racking his brain, Gontang said, "Once a king, always a duke." At this, Huang Fu Zhu was stunned, while the director next to them said with an intoxicated look, "You two are so sweet. Anyone who didn't know would think you're a family of 3. Hearing this, they looked at each other in surprise. Huang Fu Zhu was about to ask something, but was interrupted by Gontang's phone call. "What's wrong, son? Is mommy's business settled over there?" Huang Fu Zhu was stunned. Isn't that Director Gan's voice? But that wasn't all. Gontang asked Gan Yuan to come over and sign the contract. Gan Yuan said loudly, "Mommy just finished serving an annoying guy and still has things to do. Why don't you come to the hotel?" At this moment, Huang Fu Zhu's face darkened. "What annoying guy? Is she talking about me?" He immediately felt a surge of anger. After finishing the call, Gontang smiled and sought Huang Fu Zhu's opinion. He nodded to his assistant. Then he picked up his phone and called Gan Yuan, his face grim as he said, "Director Gan, you have a son?" Hearing this, Gan Yuan subconsciously began to worry. However, Huang Fu Zhu just said, "Let's meet and talk," and hung up. At this moment, Gan Yuan was about to explode. Her heart couldn't help but pound. Did he find out Gontang is his son? What does he want to talk to me about? After receiving Huang Fu Zhu's call, Gan Yuan felt a little scared. She was afraid that Huang Fu Zhu would take her son away. Just then, a call of mommy brought her back to her senses. Seeing her son come to her side, she became even more certain that Huang Fu Zhu was after Gontang. The more she thought about it, the more her face contorted, her clenched jaw making even Gontang stare. Gan Yuan told her son to wait for her in the living room, saying she had something to take care of. In her heart, Gontang was the son she had carried for 9 months and 10 days. No one could take him away, not even Huang Fu Zhu. Gan Yuan went to Huang Fu Zhu's room with an uncompromising expression. However, the table full of Gontang's photos shocked her even more. Does he really want to take her son? Does Huang Fu Zhu have proof? Huang Fu Zhu noticed that Gan Yuan was a bit strange today, but he said nothing and gently gestured for her to sit down. Then he said directly, "In 3 days, I'm taking Gontang to Europe. The architecture there is suitable for this style of children's clothing." However, Gan Yuan didn't hear a word and directly retorted no. "He's my son. Where I am, he is." Gan Yuan's strong reaction confused Huang Fu Zhu. Her reaction was too extreme, but on second thought, he realized he hadn't been considered enough. It was indeed unreasonable for a child of only a few years to go so far away without his mother. Then he said she could come along too. Gan Yuan was dumbfounded. What kind of trick is this? Huang Fu Zhu wants to take both her and her son. She shouted excitedly, "My son isn't going anywhere, and neither am I." Huang Fu Zhu suddenly felt confused. Does Director Gan have any objections to the contract? Seeing Gan Yuan's displeased expression, he felt a bit puzzled. Hasn't she read the contract? However, upon hearing the word contract, Gan Yuan seemed to understand something. Looking at the lighting and background of the photos, they were all very professional, not like candid shots, but more like audition photos. Could it be that the children's clothing company her son signed with is his? But that's not right. I clearly checked the company's information, and it has no connection to him. Just then, with a bang, water sprayed out from the bathroom. A pipe in the bathroom suddenly burst, and a strong stream of water gushed out, scaring Gan Yuan so much her face turned pale. She rushed forward to turn off the pipe's valve, but the water pressure was too strong, directly knocking off her glasses. In the chaos, Gan Yuan fell into the arms of Huang Fu Zhu, who was behind her. But her senses made her push him away forcefully. At that moment, her eyes appeared before Huang Fu Zhu. Huang Fu Zhu grabbed her hand directly, pinning her against the wall. Ignoring the overflowing water, at this moment, he just wanted to get a good look at this pair of so clearly familiar eyes. He eagerly wanted to know the answer. "Who on earth are you?" At this moment, Gan Yuan was completely stunned. Huang Fu Zhu took off her glasses and asked again and again, "Who are you? Who are you?" Gan Yuan now didn't know how to answer, trying to avoid his fiery gaze. Seeing this, Huang Fu Zhu turned her head back. "Why don't you dare to look at me? What are you hiding from?" Gan Yuan came to her senses and wanted to escape, but he held her too tightly, giving her no chance to get away to Mar. "Huang Fu, please have some self-respect, or I'll call for help." Huang Fu Zhu couldn't hear anything at this moment. He just wanted to know if she was the woman from that night 6 years ago. Hearing this, Gan Yuan, who was originally very worried, now understood. understood. He wasn't sure she was the one, so she said bluntly, "You've got the wrong person." But Huang Fuzu still insisted on asking, "Then why are you so nervous?" Gan Yuan said anxiously, "Wouldn't any ordinary person be nervous if they were pinned against a wall by a disgusting strange man?" Huang Fuzu was extremely angry after hearing this. This woman dared to call him disgusting. How outrageous! But doubts also began to arise in his heart. Could it really not be her? However, the height, figure, eyes, and unyielding attitude were all too similar. He couldn't hold back any longer and pulled her into his arms, wanting to verify that wonderful feeling from back then. This was the man she had always dreamed of, but she had to push him away. She was afraid of being discovered by him, and even more, she didn't want to lose her son. She struggled desperately, but in the struggle with a ripping sound, the outdated suit slipped off, revealing her smooth back. Huang Fuzu was stunned for a moment, while Gan Yuan was flushed red with shame and discomfort. However, what was even more unexpected was that Huang Fuzu's foot slipped, and he fell directly on top of Gan Yuan, his lips directly covering her small, perfect mouth. A cry for help rang out in the room. Two bodyguards who heard the sound ran over, but the scene before them immediately made their jaws drop. "Oh my God, the iron tree is blooming." Gan Yuan, underneath, shouted, "Help, your boss is harassing me." However, Huang Fuzu held her tightly and angrily rebuked the guards. "Get out, it's none of your business." The two immediately got the hint and ran away as fast as they could. Gan Yuan angrily pushed Huang Fuzu away, repeatedly saying, "If you dare touch me again, I'll bite you." But at this moment, Huang Fuzu suddenly fell silent. A sense of loss welled up in his heart. Why doesn't she have a tattoo? Gan Yuan took the opportunity to escape. Just as she ran off, a cold voice came from behind her. "I'm sorry, I mistook you for someone else." Gan Yuan returned to her room, feeling very confused. She pulled up her clothes, wanted to see if the tattoo on her waist had disappeared. In an instant, she understood everything, and her mood brightened. Just then, Huang Fuzu's assistant came in, bringing clothes and handing her an envelope. She knew what it was without being told. He wanted to get rid of her with this. Not everyone covets his money. Anger suddenly flared in her heart. Ignoring the assistant's persuasion, she angrily opened the door and stormed into Huang Fuzu's room. Huang Fuzu's strong body appeared before her, making Gan Yuan's face immediately flush and her heart pound. Seeing Gan Yuan arrive, the sense of loss in his heart surged again. "Get out." However, Gan Yuan, her face flushed, said angrily, "Terminate the contract with my son immediately, and then I'll leave. If you refuse, I'll tell the whole world you just harassed me." At this moment, Huang Fuzu was not pleased. He said something that instantly petrified Gan Yuan. "It's only been 6 years. How did this guy become such a bastard?" She ran out angrily. The assistant hurried after her, repeatedly saying that if the money wasn't enough, they could discuss it slowly. Gan Yuan, soaking wet, rushed out of the room, feeling extremely frustrated. Just then, Lu Cheng suddenly walked up, constantly saying strange things, as if she already knew what had just happened. It was obvious this girl had tampered with the water pipe. Lu Cheng spoke vaguely, but Gan Yuan didn't indulge her. She walked towards her step by step, looked at her petite body, and with a sinister smile, placed her hand directly on her clothes. "Don't you have a change of clothes? Come with me over here." Following that, a woman's sharp scream came from the restroom. When Gan Yuan reappeared, she had a look of disgust on her face. "Lu Cheng's perfume really stinks." But however arrogant Lu Cheng had been before, her face had completely changed now. "Section Chief Gan, rest assured, I won't report you." "No, you must. And make it sound as serious as possible." At this, Lu Cheng panicked a little. "Section Chief Gan, what on earth are you trying to do?" Gan Yuan left, leaving Lu Cheng there to go crazy. A profound look flashed in her eyes. She didn't believe that after going this far, they still wouldn't keep her away from Huang Fuzu. Sure enough, Director Li's call came soon after. She secretly rejoiced that everything was going smoothly. This Lu Cheng was really efficient. She immediately ran to Director Li's office, but the scene before her seemed a bit off. That smiling face was completely sycophantic. It turned out someone had already made a preemptive move. The assistant explained that Huang Fuzu had been drunk that day. He even wanted to invite her and her son to dinner, but Gan Yuan refused directly without a second thought, and the atmosphere instantly became awkward. Director Li pushed Gan Yuan forward, saying with a forced smile, "Don't misunderstand, she's just too dedicated to her work and is afraid of causing delays." He spoke for a while, and before Gan Yuan could retort, the assistant had already left. Director Li immediately put on a pitiful, pleading expression. She thought about it carefully. She owed her success today to Director Li's help, so she had no choice but to reluctantly agree. But when they arrived at the lounge, her son greeted her happily. "Mommy, Uncle Huang Fuju just said he wants to treat us to dinner." What? This Huang Fuju was too dangerous. Gan Yuan was taking a shower, but her mind was filled with the image of Huang Fuju, the man she'd had a one-night stand with. She thought he had completely forgotten her, but unexpectedly, he still remembered. Thinking of Huang Fuju's lost and desolate eyes, she felt a pang of pity. Was it because he didn't see that tattoo? Her heart couldn't help but tremble, but after coming to her senses, she secretly made up her mind. So what if he's disappointed? Don't even think about taking my son away. Meanwhile, Huang Fuju was still suspicious of Gan Yuan's identity, so he sought out a tattoo expert to inquire. He wanted to know about the difference in skin after a tattoo is removed. However, the answer was not optimistic. After tattoo removal, although it might not be easy to see, there would at least be a difference in texture compared to real skin. Hearing this, Huang Fuju fell into deep thought. Just then, his assistant brought Gan Tang's file and the glasses Gan Yuan had dropped. Huang Fuju picked up the glasses and examined them closely, discovering a startling clue. The glasses were non-prescription, and Gan Tang's birthday was also very coincidental. He thought to himself, wouldn't the timing of her pregnancy match the night they were together? It suddenly dawned on him. Could my feeling be right? Was she the woman from that night? Then wouldn't Gan Tang be my biological son? At this thought, Huang Fuju's heart jolted. He couldn't wait any longer and hurriedly got up, preparing to pick up the mother and son. On the other side, Gan Tang was already neatly dressed, waiting for Huang Fuju's arrival, constantly urging his mommy to hurry up. But when he saw his mommy dressed up so exquisitely, he became unhappy. "Mommy, this is too much. It's just a meal, not a blind date. Why do you have to be so pretty?" His little scheme was already exposed. He was just trying to create a cover for himself. Just then, a soft knock came from the door. Seeing Huang Fuju, Gan Tang's eyes immediately lit up. The adorable Gan Tang, thinking it was their first meeting, planned to introduce Huang Fuju to his mother. But Huang Fuju looked at Gan Yuan that we're more than just acquainted. "We're very intimate, aren't we, Gan Yuan?" To get closer to Gan Yuan and her son, Huang Fuju not only treated them to dinner, but also bought a pile of gifts. But Gan Yuan directly refused to accept them. Faced with Gan Yuan's indifference, Huang Fuju didn't back down, saying, "Giving gifts is my courtesy. If you don't like them, you can throw them away." But their interaction terrified the assistant standing by. This was the first time the boss had bought gifts for a woman he wasn't related to, only to be met with such a heartless rejection. You could feel the anger even through the screen. However, Gan Tang said, "Uncle Huang Fu, don't mind her. My mommy is just joking with you." This sentence also made his unhappy mood vanish. Gan Yuan also witnessed his ability to change expressions faster than flipping a book. But that wasn't all. Huang Fuju even started criticizing Gan Yuan's clothes. "Fine, for my son's sake, I'll endure it." She suppressed the anger in her heart and went to change her clothes. She thought, "Don't you like proper clothes? Then I'll wear something truly proper." A few seconds later, Gan Yuan appeared dressed all in black. Is this okay now? Huang Fuju was completely speechless. "Are you sure you want to wear this to dinner?" Although he was in a bad mood, seeing the gentle way Gan Yuan tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, the anger in his heart disappeared, and he was instead captivated by this gentleness. Soon, the three of them began a romantic dinner. But at the table, there was only the sound of the mother and son chewing their food. To make his presence known, he coughed lightly and asked Gan Tang, "Is the food good?" Gan Tang raised both hands and said it was delicious. Seeing this, Gan Yuan quickly stopped her son from talking while eating, as it was bad for his stomach. But she deliberately flicked her hand, and a splash of oil landed directly on Huang Fuju. She feigned shock and then hurriedly helped him wipe it, turning what was a small stain into a large one. Watching Huang Fuju leave, Gan Yuan laughed to herself. With his obsession with cleanliness, this meal was definitely over. However, the unexpected happened. In just 15 minutes, Huang Fuju returned without his jacket, still looking calm and composed as he prepared to sit down and continue eating. Gan Yuan immediately apologized to him. As she and Gan Tang were about to leave, they were stopped by a handsome man. It turned out to be Uncle Xiao from the hotel. The three of them immediately presented a harmonious scene. Seeing this, Huang Fuju's pupils contracted, and he walked towards them with a gloomy face. This guy actually dares to see my Gan Yuan. He immediately stepped forward, wrapped his arm around Gan Yuan's waist, and said, "She's mine. I'll see her off myself." The CEO's domineering aura instantly stunned everyone. Afterwards, he got into Gan Yuan's car and called out to her with a displeased look. "Gan Yuan, please get in the car." Gan Yuan was stunned. What was this? Using the son to threaten the mother. She secretly cursed Huang Fuju for being despicable. However, she had no choice but to compromise and sit with them. At this moment, Huang Fuju was secretly pleased and turned to ask Gan Tang, "Did you bring your passport?" Gan Yuan felt like she was about to collapse. Is this child really mine? Selling out his own mother like this? She hurriedly reached out to grab it, but as she did, their hands touched for an instant, making Gan Yuan's cheeks flush red. Oh my God, how did I end up grabbing his hand? Before she could react, Huang Fuju easily broke free from her grasp. However, the moment he opened the passport, Huang Fuju was stunned. The boy's blood type was the same as his. Beside them, Gan Yuan was still clamoring to terminate the contract. But Huang Fuju gave her no chance. A signed contract cannot be changed. I'm taking the passport to arrange the plane tickets for going abroad. At this moment, Gan Tang was confused. Why terminate the contract when everything was fine? This made Gan Yuan very awkward. How could she tell her son the real reason? She could only lie and say she didn't have time to go with him. But Gan Tang was such a good boy, saying I can go by myself. Besides, Uncle Huang Fu will be there. Huang Fuju was overjoyed to hear this, while Gan Yuan felt like she had no regrets left in life. He hasn't even acknowledged his father, yet they're already on the same side. Perhaps what Mother Gan fears most is being alone. Soon, the three of them arrived downstairs. Gan Yuan forced a smile, then told her son to go upstairs, her expression immediately changing as she aggressively demanded the car keys back from him. But the moment the keys were in her hand, Huang Fuju suddenly grabbed Gan Yuan's hand and, in the next second, pinned her against the wall, though it lacked a bit of gentleness. Huang Fuju really wanted to know the truth and asked her seriously, "He is my son, isn't he?" This man was so blunt, resorting to force at the slightest disagreement. Looking at the familiar yet strange girl before him, he thought of the blood type and Gan Tang's birthday. By his calculation, Gan Tang's date of conception also matched that night, 6 years ago. But Gan Yuan still stubbornly denied it. 0.5 children are born every second in the world. Many people share the same blood type. Mr. Huang Fu, please don't make wild guesses. At this point, Huang Fuju couldn't hold back any longer. Why did you leave that morning? As soon as the words were out, Gan Yuan froze. Why? She was speechless for a moment. Luckily, the ding of the elevator snapped her out of it. She struggled desperately to break free from his grasp. I've never met you, and Gan Tang couldn't possibly be your son. Gan Yuan's face was flushed red as she finally escaped, secretly laughing to herself. That was close. I was almost found out by this guy. However, the unexpected happened. Just as she calmed down, she was kissed by Huang Fuju, her heart racing as she desperately tried to push him away. But the embarrassing incident kept replaying in her mind. The sharp pain from being bitten made her cry out, and she couldn't help but scold, "Are you a child?" But Huang Fuju just smiled meaningfully and said, "See you tomorrow." What was that supposed to mean? He kissed me, bit me, and now he wants to see me tomorrow? Gan Yuan was about to go crazy. What on earth do you want? I want to pursue you. Gan Yuan angrily refused, saying she wasn't interested in him. However, Huang Fuju said seriously, "I am." Then he turned and left, leaving Gan Yuan alone, furious and annoyed. After returning home, Gan Yuan thought, if I can't afford to offend you, can't I at least hide from you? It's just a pity for my son, who had just gotten used to the environment here. It's all because of that bastard's appearance. After packing her bags, she looked at her sleeping son and felt a sense of guilt. She didn't want them to acknowledge each other simply because Huang Fuju was too outstanding. After returning to her room, a strange noise from outside put Gan Yuan on alert. When she pulled back the curtains, Gan Yuan seemed to understand why Huang Fuju had left so easily today. It turned out he had sent people to follow her. Is he really that afraid I'll disappear? Huang Fuju was so romantic. From just a one-night stand 6 years ago, he could draw the girls back so vividly. And 6 years later, this girl came to him on her own. Seeing the painting, Gan Yuan was stunned. She was about to keep it as a memento for her son when she turned and found someone peeking. An idea immediately came to her. Then let's give him some information. She pretended to throw the painting into the trash can, and the assistant nearby was about to cry. This was personally painted by Mr. Huangfu, worth millions. But Gan Yuan didn't care. She happily went to Huangfu Ju's room. However, the scene before her felt a bit strange. Why was Qiao Yang here? Turning back time, Qiao Yang wasn't supposed to come to the presidential suite, but because the hotel's head chef had food poisoning and Huangfu Ju was a clean freak, he reluctantly accepted the sous chef. Qiao Yang. Of course, Huangfu Ju accepted because he knew Gan Yuan was coming, so when he saw her arrive, he specifically emphasized that she should make a portion for him. The strange atmosphere between the two had long been noticed by Gan Yuan. She just wanted to resolve her own matter and get away as soon as possible. But Huangfu Ju grabbed her, and their hands touched, making Gan Yuan blush instantly. Before she could react, sous chef Qiao Yang brought over the delicious food. Gan Yuan had no choice but to sit down to Damar. Huangfu, here is the steak you ordered. If there's anything you're not satisfied with, I'll make a new one. Xiao Yuan specifically told me to meet your requirements. Xiao Yuan. Huangfu Ju immediately felt uncomfortable, calling her so intimately. Then he said gently, no need. I don't want to make Yuan Yuan unhappy. My God, what is this? Is this Yuan Yuan still the cold, taciturn Huangfu Ju who saw women as nothing? Gan Yuan at the side was completely dumbfounded. Are we that close? After achieving his goal, Huangfu Ju ordered Xiao Liang to leave. However, sous chef Xiao Liang refused to leave, citing hotel regulations, and then the two began to bicker like love rivals. Huangfu Ju complained that sous chef Xiao Liang was too greasy. However, Xiao Liang retorted that Huangfu Ju's aesthetic sense was too poor, but he stated bluntly that in his eyes, only Yuan Yuan met the standard of beauty. This sentence directly made Gan Yuan spit the water she just drank onto the table, and then she couldn't stop coughing. Huangfu Ju quickly pulled Gan Yuan into his arms, asking with concern, did I bite too hard last night? At this moment, Xiao Yang also hurriedly handed over tissue. But he didn't know that at this moment, Gan Yuan didn't want anything but for the two of them to shut up, or she would choke to death on the water. This Huangfu Ju was too cunning. He actually wiped Gan Yuan's mouth in front of his love rival, and after eating, he even said the taste was different from yesterday, asking if she had changed her lipstick. Gan Yuan's face turned red with embarrassment. He could actually make such a blatant show of affection. Sous chef Qiao Yang was not to be outdone. Xiao Yuan, is my coat still with you? This was to imply their close relationship. The atmosphere was immediately filled with the thick smell of gunpowder. In this battlefield, Gan Yuan could only endure. With a bang on the table, Gan Yuan finally couldn't take it anymore and stood up. She didn't understand. Having one Huangfu Ju was troublesome enough. Why did Xiao Liang have to join the chaos? But as soon as she reacted, she was pulled into Huangfu Ju's arms, who at the same time demanded Xiao Liang to leave in a cold and stern tone. At this moment, Xiao Liang clenched his fists, extremely unwilling in his heart. But what could he do? He could only turn and leave helplessly, not forgetting to say a word before he left. Xiao Yuan, I'll come find you later. At this moment, Gan Yuan's anger finally erupted. She angrily reminded Huangfu Ju not to touch her. However, he said without getting angry, if I don't use my hands, should I use my mouth? How stupid of me to even try to reason with him. She angrily grabbed the teacup on the table and threw it directly at him. Huangfu Ju was quick enough to block the tea. Gan Yuan angrily expressed that she just wanted to have a proper talk with him. Huangfu Ju was delighted, not expecting her to take the initiative to talk to him. However, the topic of conversation was the same old thing. Gan Yuan still tried her best to clarify. I told you I don't know you, and Gan Tang is not your son. Huangfu Ju didn't seem anxious after hearing this. Then let's do a paternity test. If the result is as you say, then I'll believe you. Hey, so this was Huangfu Ju's plan. Then I'll play along with him. Gan Yuan immediately agreed to his request. Then we'll go tomorrow. You'll pay for the test. But Huangfu Ju was unhappy after hearing her answer. She agreed so readily. Did I really mistake her for someone else? But those eyes, that figure, and that unyielding personality were all so familiar. Plus, Gontang's birthday and the same blood type as me. Is this just a coincidence, or is it her stalling tactic? Either way, let's let the results speak for themselves. This is the most scheming person I've ever met, using such insidious means to eliminate a love rival. He first intensified his advances on Gan Yuan, pretending to tidy her messy hair, deliberately fumbling so his hand would touch her. The momentary tingling sensation made Gan Yuan nervous. However, in the next second, her high bun was pulled apart. Before Gan Yuan could complain about the embarrassment and discomfort, Huang Fuju said in a commanding tone, "Don't wear your hair up next time you see me." Gan Yuan laughed in anger. "Just because you say so? Who do you think you are?" "Good question." Huang Fuju slowly revealed his identity. "I'm the man you are hopelessly in love with." My God, this guy is so shameless. Gan Yuan returned to her office annoyed, only to find Xiao Liang still waiting for her. Xiao Yang hurriedly expressed his concern, but she couldn't hear a word. Xiao Yang tried to explain the previous clothing incident, but Gan Yuan misunderstood that he was just trying to help her. Unexpectedly, Xiao Yang proposed, "How about we turn this fake relationship into a real one?" Hearing this, Gan Yuan quickly refused. She didn't want to be hunted down by his female admirers. But Xiao Yang said he had already resigned. Did he look like he was forced? Gan Yuan politely offered to treat Xiao Liang to a meal. After all, for so many years, he was the only one who had been close to her. Just then, a beautiful woman walked out of the elevator and threw herself into Xiao Yang's arms. Xiao Yang immediately frowned. Why would Chu Xinqing suddenly appear here? Xiao Yang hurriedly pushed Chu Xinqing away. Gan Yuan had finally offered to treat him to a meal, and there couldn't be any misunderstandings. However, it happened too suddenly. "I am Xiao Yang's fiancé." Xiao Yang? Before Xiao Yang could react, Chu Xinqing directly declared her sovereignty. Gan Yuan understood that she was being treated as a love rival. She gracefully exited the scene of Chu Xinqing hugging Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang was confused. He was using a fake name here. So how did she find him? Who told you my whereabouts? Seeing Xiao Liang get angry, Chu Xinqing was terrified and quickly took out her phone to show Xiao Yang. A text message. Xiao Yang understood at a glance. Damn it, it was all Huang Fuju's doing. At the same time, Huang Fuju also received the news of Xiao Liang's resignation. A faint smile appeared in his eyes. This round I win. Gontang was happy to hear that he was going to have dinner with Uncle Huangfu. This feeling only made Gan Yuan's face darken. Could it really be that blood is thicker than water? They had only met a few times, and her son was already so attached to him. Just then, Gontang said with his big blue eyes, "Mommy, can you two not fight tonight?" What an ungrateful thing, taking an outsider's side so quickly. Gan Yuan was both angry and annoyed. This ungrateful brat even dared to say he was helping me, and seriously said he had looked up Huang Fuju's information online. It turns out he is the chairman of the HF group, Mr. Ping of Country A. Only such a good background is worthy of my universe's best mom. Such a flatterer, just as expected from someone with such a narcissistic father. Gan Yuan felt helpless, but on second thought, although her son was very sensible, how could he possibly understand her? Relationship with Huang Fuju? She and he were like black and white, light and dark, destined to be people from two different worlds for this lifetime. And it soon came true. Upon seeing Huang Fuju, Gontang was ecstatic. After greeting him, Huang Fuju noticed something strange. He stared at Gan Yuan's high bun. He had told her not to wear that hairstyle, but looking at her today, not only did she not listen, she even used a chopstick to hold it up. Only Gan Yuan would do something like that. After the pleasantries, the next scene shocked everyone. Huang Fuju thoughtfully pulled out a chair for Gan Yuan. This was truly unprecedented. The big boss was actually pulling out a chair for her. Everyone at the table was guessing about the mother and son's background. In response to their attention, she only showed a manufactured smile. Looking at the happy scene of the father and son, she couldn't help but sigh. The two of them really looked alike, but no one was going to take her son from her. Thinking of the hair she dropped last night, an idea came to her. A paternity test, is it? I'll show you what it means to fight fire with fire. Then she got up and went to the restroom, took out a pair of scissors to cut her own hair, and picked out a strand that was the same length as her son's. She revealed a meaningful expression. Huang Fuju, you want to test it? Then I'll let you test it. When she returned to the restaurant, she saw the two of them chatting happily, and a sudden sour feeling welled up in her heart. She quickly called out to Gontang, "Son, what did mommy teach you before? You have to concentrate when you eat. No playing, no multitasking." But Gontang seemed dissatisfied. "But I'm already full." Huang Fuju chuckled upon hearing this, and Gan Yuan immediately felt uncomfortable, wishing she could smash the plate. On that handsome face, she said angrily to her son, "If you're done eating, then we should go." Before the boy could react, Huang Fuju had swept her son into his arms. The two of them walked out happily, hand in hand. Gan Yuan's mouth fell open in surprise, feeling abandoned, and could only follow silently behind. Suddenly hearing the two of them making plans to eat together tomorrow, Gan Yuan quickly hugged her son and lied that Xiao Tang already had plans for tomorrow. She even deliberately pulled Gan Tang's hair in front of Huang Fuju. Gan Tang cried out in pain, and she couldn't help but sigh at how well he acted. Gan Yuan told her son to get in the car. She herself went back to pick up the few strands of hair she had prepared, while reminding Huang Fuju that it would be best to meet less before the test results came out, and expressed that she didn't want Huang Fuju and Gontang to get too close. She didn't want Huang Fuju's appearance to affect Gontang's growth. Seeing Gan Yuan's firm attitude, Huang Fuju couldn't help but start to doubt. Was Gontang really not his son? Gan Yuan also didn't forget to add a final confirmation. A mother would not mistake her own child's father. However, none of this made Huang Fuju back down. The DNA test was underway. He even pulled out his own hair and ordered his assistant to process it as soon as possible. At the same time, he demanded absolute secrecy. He was well aware of his own status, especially news about a child. If it leaked, it would definitely bring them danger, so it absolutely could not be revealed at this moment. Just now, Gan Yuan received a call from Huang Fuju. She thought it was just a normal call, but after she spoke, the other side was silent. The two held their phones in silence for a while. Gan Yuan felt a bit annoyed and couldn't help but become impatient. She angrily asked the other party, "Are you still there?" The single word here made Gan Yuan feel like she was about to explode. She asked irritably, "Why aren't you talking?" It turned out he was drinking. "Why call when you're drinking?" She was about to hang up angrily, but Huang Fuju said forcefully, "Don't hang up. I miss you." That sentence was both embarrassing and infuriating. Gan Yuan hung up the phone directly, but before 3 seconds of silence had passed, the phone rang again. Gan Yuan was furious and subconsciously grabbed the clothes in her hand. However, she didn't expect her son to answer the phone. "Mommy, it's Uncle Huangfu." Gan Yuan said with a face full of anger, "Don't answer it." However, she was looked down upon by her son, who said she was being too childish. Gan Yuan snatched the phone and violently unplugged the phone line. At this, Gontang looked confused. "Mommy is so mean, but does mommy like Uncle Huangfu?" This soul-searching question made Gan Yuan start to wonder if her outward behavior was so obvious that even a child could see it. Unexpectedly, in Gontang's heart, Gan Yuan had always had many men pursuing her. So many people are chasing mommy, but mommy only loses her composure with Uncle Huangfu. Mommy says not to let likes and dislikes affect emotions, but Uncle Huangfu always affects mommy's emotions, so mommy must love Uncle Huangfu a lot, right? I have to say, this child's mind works too fast. After listening, Gan Yuan didn't argue with him directly and switched to mother-son bonding mode. After playing for a while, both of them fell into a sweet dream. However, just then a knock came from the door. Gan Yuan quickly got up to check, but she froze when she opened the door. Huang Fuju stormed in aggressively, reeking of alcohol, and clamored for a drink. Gan Yuan angrily tried to kick him out. However, he directly cornered Gan Yuan against the wall. He leaned close to Gan Yuan's face and said angrily, "You're lying." At this moment, Gan Yuan's cheeks flushed and her heart raced. Huang Fuju's "You're lying" made her anxious. Had the test results come out, or had he discovered her trick? Huang Fuju slowly moved closer, his heart feeling as if it were being tormented. He didn't feel anything when he was busy, but when he was alone, she was like a spell, always appearing in his mind. They had clearly just met, so why did he always have a sense of familiarity, always wanting to see her, missing her terribly? But not only did she hang up on him, she also turned off her phone. He couldn't control his anger and hugged her tightly. Why did she always want to run away? At this thought, he couldn't help but kiss her deeply, and the feeling was very similar to that crazy night 6 years ago. At this moment 6 years ago, Huang Fuju just wanted to hold her tightly, not let her run away again, to have her by his side every day, to see her anytime, and do everything he wanted with her. Gan Tian, be my woman. Gon Tian angrily refused outright. With your status, you just have to beckon, and women from all over the world will flock to you. So please don't bother me, okay? But I only like you, Huang Fuju said affectionately. At this moment, Gon Tian was about to explode with anger. Is this guy sick? Just as the two were arguing, Mommy, I need to go to the bathroom. Gon Tang took another careful look. The scene before him stunned him for a few seconds. Then a flash of inspiration struck. It's too dark. I can't see anything. I'd better go back to sleep. Gon Tian exclaimed in embarrassment. I've raised this son for nothing. Seeing his mommy being bullied and turning a blind eye, and with no hope for rescue, Gon Tian could only threaten, if you still want Gon Tang to be your model, get out of here right now. However, at this moment, Huang Fuju was still immersed in his own emotional thoughts. Gon Tian, I've been looking for you for so many years. I've really missed you. Gon Tian helplessly tried to push him away, but suddenly the phone rang. Huang Fuju answered the phone irritably. Your test results are out. What's the situation? For Huang Fuju, this was no less than a bolt from the blue. He had mixed feelings, but he couldn't understand why there would be people in this world who looked so alike. How could there be such a coincidence? He turned to look at Gon Tian. Did you pull some kind of trick? Huang Fuju had never thought he would be unable to let go of a woman. Even just eating a piece of cake could remind him of her soft skin. Because of what happened last night, he was blushing furiously. Huang Fuju hadn't slept well all night and waited with a tired face for Gon Tian and her son to arrive. Today, they would fly to Europe together to prepare for the children's clothing ad shoot. Seeing Uncle Huang Fu, Gon Tang was very excited, but the tired and cold expression on his face made Gon Tang a little disappointed. Gon Tang quickly said, Look, Uncle Huang Fu didn't rest well. We'd better not disturb him. However, Gon Tang didn't give up. He took out a piece of cake. Uncle Huang Fu, eat this cake. Mommy gave it to you. This child was truly a divine wingman. Hearing this, Huang Fuju immediately perked up, but Gon Tian, who was beside them, was not happy. Gon Tang, Mommy clearly made this especially for you. Seeing his mommy's expression change, the little guy immediately changed his tune. Oh, I forgot Mommy told me not to say it out loud. Seeing that Uncle Huang Fu didn't move, the little guy happily continued to approach, but that face with eyes as blue as a starry sky made Huang Fuju doubtful. Could he have really mistaken the person? But the child's appearance as a baby was clearly so similar to his own. He fell into deep thought. He was completely listless. The assistant beside him, worried, stepped forward to ease the atmosphere. Mr. Huang Fu doesn't like sweets. But before he could finish, Huang Fuju suddenly snatched the pastry and put it in his mouth, thinking to himself, I've mistaken the person, but how can I take my anger out on him and dislike him just because he's not my child? It's just that the hope in my heart was shattered, and I'm a little disappointed, that's all. Gon Tang watched Uncle Huang Fu eat the pastry, blinked his eyes, and asked, Is it delicious? After getting Uncle Huang Fu's affirmation, the little guy quickly placed a large box on the floor and said proudly, Mommy made it specially. This capable assistant directly pulled Gon Tian, who was beside them, and took Gon Tang away, lying that they needed to go to the bathroom. Gon Tang made a victory sign and muttered, Women are so troublesome. Seeing this, a charming smile couldn't help but appear on Huang Fuju's lips. After last night's events, Huang Fuju's thoughts were in complete chaos. Every time he saw Gon Tian and her son, he couldn't concentrate. Just as he was feeling troubled, Gon Tang ran over. Uncle Huang Fu, let's play chess. My mommy is very good at chess. Huang Fuju showed a surprised expression, but Gon Tian gave him no face at all. She quickly turned around. Mommy is sleepy. Mommy is going to bed. But it wasn't over. Gon Tang immediately leaned in and whispered in Huang Fuju's ear, Mommy was thinking about you so much last night, she couldn't sleep. Huang Fuju looked at the little guy, feeling incredibly relaxed. He ruffled the little guy's hair, thinking that since he couldn't concentrate on his documents anyway, he might as well play with him. Just looking at the chessboard, could Gon Tang really play? However, from the start of the first game, Gon Tang completely astonished him. His openings and traps were flawless, very methodical, and very calm, but he was still young, after all, so he lost. The little guy angrily demanded another game, but by now, Gon Tang had lost his earlier excitement, becoming increasingly unhappy and even more unwilling to admit defeat. Seeing this, Huang Fuju couldn't help but be reminded of himself as a child. After they finished playing chess, the two sat by the window chatting, looking just like a family of three. Huang Fuju suddenly started talking about his twin brother. Hearing the amusing stories about the two brothers piqued Gon Tang's interest. The little guy deliberately looked at Gon Tian and said, "I want a brother too, so I'll have someone to play with." Hearing this, Gan Tian pouted angrily and turned her head to the side. She clearly understood Gan Tang's intention, so she couldn't be bothered to respond. However, this sentence immediately sent Huang Fuju into deep thought. Soon, they arrived at their destination. Gan Tang was captivated by the luxurious castle before him, exclaiming that it was too beautiful. Then the little guy shouted that he wanted to ride in a horse-drawn carriage. Huang Fuju doted on the little guy and immediately had someone arrange it. However, as Gan Tian came to this place again, she couldn't help but feel a sense of nostalgia. She never expected Huang Fuju to choose this place. Huang Fuju had never imagined that Gan Tian would know a small path that not even the servants knew. Seeing Gan Tian navigate the path so skillfully, he pondered for a moment, then went to Gan Tang's room to investigate secretly. "Gan Tang, has your mommy ever been to France?" Gan Tang thought for a moment and said, "Not since I can remember. I don't know about before that, but I know my mommy really likes France. She often stares blankly at famous French landmarks." This answer made Huang Fuju smile faintly, as if he had seen a glimmer of hope. He immediately started his little plan, having Gan Tang ask Gan Tian to come to his room for a chat. A short while later, Gan Tian stormed into Huang Fuju's room, but she was startled by a familiar piece of music. Huang Fuju pretended to be calmly reading a document at the side. Seeing his languid appearance, Gan Tian was instantly annoyed. "If you have something to say it quickly." "I'm sleepy," Huang Fuju said. "Someone will take you to the shooting location at 8 tomorrow morning. You can go back now." Has his brain been kicked by a horse? You made me come all this way just for this. She stormed out, and her furious appearance immediately scared the assistant. The assistant who was walking over at that moment. Huang Fuju revealed a sinister smile and had his assistant arrange for the best DNA expert first thing in the morning. Gan Tian sensed something was wrong, feeling like she was being followed. Afterward, she became vigilant, putting every single strand of hair into a plastic bag. At this time, Huang Fuju was standing in the distance, watching Gan Tian and her child. As soon as they left the house, two people slipped into Gan Tian's room. The assistant immediately searched the carpets and cushions everywhere, but after a while, still found nothing. However, a drawing on the table caught Huang Fuju's attention. In the drawing, Huang Fuju was leading a horse with Gan Tang and Gan Tian sitting on it. The drawing clearly depicted a happy family, which made Huang Fuju ecstatic. The assistant hurried over and said, not a single hair was found. Huang Fuju's mood instantly sank to rock bottom. Those few hairs from before must have been faked by her. He smiled sinisterly, secretly making up his mind that there could be no mistakes this time. This is the best kid I've ever seen, but he's always trying to push his mommy into a man's arms. Gan Tang's first day of shooting went very smoothly. Every photo made people exclaim in amazement. After the shoot, the little guy didn't forget to ask the photographer uncle to take a picture with his mommy. So the little guy hurried to find his mommy and took off her glasses. Indeed, no one knows a mother better than her son. Mommy is always most beautiful without her glasses. Her sharp gaze was revealed. Her aura, combined with her perfect figure, captivated the photographer, who said that if Gan Tian was willing, he could quickly make her a star in the modeling world. Gan Tian took back her glasses and politely refused. She knew she shouldn't be too high profile, or danger could strike at any time. After returning home, Gan Tang shouted for Uncle Huangfu to go horseback riding. Gan Tian was speechless. Weren't they tired after running around all day? At this moment, Gan Tian noticed something strange. Her toothbrush had clearly been moved, and the water stains on the table were still there, meaning it wasn't the work of a servant. So who moved the toothbrush? Looking at the two people before her, she seemed to understand. Without Huang Fuju's permission, no one would dare enter her room. Just then, Gan Tang invited Gan Tian to go horseback riding with them. In the little guy's heart, as long as his mommy went along, he could create an opportunity for the two of them to be together. But Huang Fuju was thinking that if Gan Tian went, it would prove she was on guard against him. Gan Tian believed the two of them couldn't be together. It was too dangerous. And so, the three of them, each with their own thoughts, went horseback riding together, all looking forward to the wonderful time ahead. But unexpectedly, in a large building, a man was staring at a photo of Gan Tian and her son. His finger pointed at Gan Tian in the photo. 6 years. I've finally found you, my thorn in the flesh. You've been living too well. The little guy finally put his plan into action, successfully convincing his mommy and Huang Fuju to go on a date. On this day, the three of them rode horses together across the vast fields. Gontang was extremely happy, constantly urging Uncle Huangfu to go faster and faster. Gontang even boasted that when he grew up, he would raise a horse that could run faster than Brito. Then he looked at his mommy, who was lagging behind, and waved his little hand happily. Mommy, why are you so slow? Gontian, however, was not happy at this moment. It wasn't that she was slow, but that this horse was too weak. She grumbled to herself, "They're deliberately making me fall behind to make it easier to pull tricks." So she followed closely behind, but just a moment ago, the two were chatting happily, and in the blink of an eye, the little guy had disappeared. Gontian was stunned, reminding her son to be careful, while not forgetting to distance herself from Huang Fuju. The photographer said all the shots can be finished in 3 days. I'll go back with Gontang first then. No. Huang Fuju's firm reply made Gontian very unhappy, and the two started to argue. But they didn't know that Gontang was watching them from a distance, thinking they were having a pleasant chat, and was secretly happy. As the two argued, Gontian's eyes were fixed on Huang Fuju. Huang Fuju could never have imagined that what attracted Gontian was not his handsome face, but a strand of hair stuck to his clothes. Then Gontian turned around and coughed twice. When she turned back, she had a completely different expression. She walked straight towards Huang Fuju with a smile. However, an accident happened. As Gontian moved forward, she tripped on a small stone and flew towards Huang Fuju. With a scream, she fell completely. However, why did this feel so soft? As she secretly rejoiced that she hadn't fallen on the ground. Otherwise, her face would be ruined and her life would be over. But when she stood up, the position was too awkward, and her little face couldn't help but turn red. This scene also left Huang Fuju too stunned to speak. Gontian came to her senses and quickly backed away at the speed of light. However, just then, Huang Fuju seemed to have spotted Gontang's hair. Gontian exclaimed in her heart, "No, once he gets Gontang's hair, our son's identity will be exposed." Gontian directly lifted Huang Fuju's clothes, revealing a fawning smile while muttering, "Your clothes are covered in grass. Let me dust them off for you." But Huang Fuju could never have imagined that Gontian's action was just to remove Gontang's hair. She wanted to stop Huang Fuju from doing another DNA test. But why was this disobedient hair burrowing deeper and deeper? Gontian impatiently blew it away. At this moment, the hair had flown away, but Huang Fuju was so flustered that he blushed from his face to his neck. Gontian was secretly pleased, completely unaware that danger was approaching. Instantly, a pair of strong hands grabbed Gontian's waist. She felt as if she had been electrocuted, her body stiff and unable to move. But that wasn't all. Huang Fuju leaned in and whispered, "You were so cold to me before, but so passionate today. What exactly are you trying to do?" Gontian came to her senses, immediately pushed Huang Fuju away, and kept retorting, "You are holding me, not me holding you." Huang Fuju didn't expect Gontian to say that. It was clearly she who initiated it. Was she asking for trouble? Seeing Gontian's flustered look, he became interested and said playfully, "But I think you did it on purpose." He couldn't help but feel a little suspicious. Could her actions just now have another reason? Gontian resisted, but he held her tightly. As she struggled, another strand of hair came into Gontian's view. Gontian was speechless. When will this ever end? Then, the face that was glaring just a moment ago immediately broke into a smile. This ability to change expressions faster than flipping a book directly stunned Huang Fuju. But on second thought, was she playing hard to get? He instantly became excited. Gontian smiled charmingly, and with a gentle flick of her finger, the hair fell off. Gontian waved her arm, preparing to turn and leave. However, the fire had already been lit by her. How could she just leave? Seeing Huang Fuju about to close in, Gontian was terrified and hurriedly scolded him, "Don't you come any closer." However, at this moment, how could Huang Fuju possibly listen to Gontian? He said with a look of delight, "What if I want to?" Then Gontian retorted, starting her special mission. In just a moment, Gontian was conquered by Huang Fuju's technique, which he wasn't even good at. Huang Fuju's eyes were full of affection, and he didn't forget to invite Gontian to his place tonight, to continue practicing. Gontian was instantly awakened by this seductive phrase, struggled to break free, and cursed angrily. If you want to find someone to vent your desires on, find someone else. I'm not a streetwalker. Huang Fuju was immediately enraged by this sentence, feeling insulted and roared, I never call for streetwalkers. At the same time, he closed in on her, why are you running? Her actions just now clearly showed a proactive response. Questioned by Huang Fuju, Gantian nervously blurted out, that was just my body's natural reaction. As soon as the words were out, Huang Fuju's eyes lit up. S.O. Your body has feelings for me. Gantian was startled. Oh my god, what did I just say? She subconsciously said, with your lousy skills, don't overthink it. She turned to flee, but Huang Fuju grabbed her in an embrace and whispered in her ear, I want to hone my skills too, but you have to give me a chance. Gantian was furious, grabbed Huang Fuju's arm, and threw him to the ground. Huang Fuju was stunned for a moment, but continued to tease, you're so eager, pushing me down right here. Gantian couldn't believe he could say such a thing in this situation. It was utterly shameless. Where was the elegant young master, the cold temperament? He was clearly a hooligan. Then, with a lion's roar, she called out to Gantang, who was hiding in a corner. She angrily dragged the little guy away. Huang Fuju watched Gantian's departing back. He shouted frantically, Gantian, you can't escape. This is your destiny. Gantian irritably pulled Gantang along, with Huang Fuju following closely behind. Suddenly, Gantian pushed Gantang aside, did a spinning move, and kicked fiercely at Huang Fuju. Despite reacting in time, the force still made Huang Fuju stagger back several meters. Instantly, a group of bodyguards rushed up. Huang Fuju hurriedly scolded, get lost, let her go. The bodyguards were surprised, but how could they dare to defy the Duke's order? They could only watch as Gantian left. At this moment, Huang Fuju breathed a sigh of relief, completely dumbfounded. This Gantian was hot and cold, impossible to figure out. But now was not the time to think about this. Seeing Gantang standing there blankly, he hurried forward to check, afraid that Gantang, being so young, was frightened by the scene. But it seemed he was overthinking it. Gantang immediately turned back, his blue eyes wide, and asked, Uncle Huang Fu, aren't you going to chase after Mommy? Huang Fuju felt wronged. He had only said one sentence and got such a big reaction. If he chased after her, who knows what the result would be? Gantang said seriously, hurry up and apologize. Isn't that how it's done in the movies? At the same time, the little guy said seriously, Mommy responds to soft tactics, not hard ones. You have to learn to coax her. With that, the little guy started to act it out, my dear, don't be angry. Actually, I was just joking. I only love you. But such smooth moves were too difficult for Huang Fuju. Since he was born, this was the first time he had been hit twice in one day by the same person, and a woman at that. His pride made him choose to give up. Gantian returned to her room and fell into deep thought while looking at herself in the mirror. She wanted to escape her fate, but reality always seemed to be beyond her control. Gantian believed that the current Huang Fuju was definitely not the Huang Fuju she knew, and she was no longer herself. The man used the excuse of driving away the boy's mother to trick the boy into a paternity test, but he didn't expect to be outsmarted by the 5-year-old. William said with a smile, Gantang, your nails seem a bit long. Let Uncle help you trim them. No need. Mommy already cut them for me. Just yesterday, William had planned to trick Gantang into playing with a blood whistle and blowing balloons, but Gantang found him too childish and nothing he said worked. At this moment, William felt like he was about to collapse. He felt that with this kind of personality, there was no need for a DNA test at all. He was exactly like his boss. But an order was an order. He could only endure the pain in his heart, pull himself together, and try to get a sample for the paternity test. Then he pulled out 2 of his own hairs and said confidently, Gantang, this is a magical legend. With just these 2 hairs, you can find out how long you'll live. He solemnly demonstrated for Gantang, but Gantang looked at him with disdain. Uncle William, you're so dumb. You actually believe such nonsense. Every time you pull out a hair, the shape is different. Does that mean our lifespan is constantly changing? At this moment, William just wanted to find a hole to crawl into. This was number 5-year-old child. This was clearly an old soul in a child's body. But it wasn't over. Gan Tang directly pointed out the reason for his visit. He had wanted to bluff his way through, but Gan Tang's next move stunned him. Gan Tang was seen pulling 2 hairs from his own head and saying seriously, "As long as you tell me your real purpose, I'll give you my hair." Seeing this, William seized the opportunity, and the two easily reached an agreement. Meanwhile, on the other side, Huang Fuju was waiting for Gan Tian in the garden. When the two met again, what kind of heartbreaking scene would it be? Huang Fuju never expected Gan Tian to say she was just playing the field. She also said that if everyone made her take responsibility, how could she afford to? Huang Fuju was instantly enraged, grabbing Gan Tian's hand tightly and asking over and over, was what happened 6 years ago also just playing the field? He really hoped Gan Tian would give a negative answer. However, Gan Tian only hesitated for a moment. Then she threw herself into Huang Fuju's arms and, in an extremely shallow tone, fabricated a story. "Back then, I just wanted to prove whether the legendary cold man who wasn't close to women would fall for me." Huang Fuju, you didn't actually fall in love with me, did you? Huang Fuju immediately lost control, angrily cursing, "Get lost," and violently pushed Gan Tian away. The beautiful memories in his heart turned to ashes in that moment. At this moment, he hated Gan Tian to the core. With the sound of a teacup shattering on the floor, Gan Tian's heart also felt a sharp pain. But she had no choice but to pray that if there was a next life, she would repay what she owed him in this one. After Gan Tian returned, she was surprised to find Gan Tang playing happily with Huang Fuju's assistant. A sense of unease immediately rose in her heart. She cautiously asked, "Did anything special happen between Gan Tang and Uncle William?" After hearing Gan Tang's denial, she breathed a sigh of relief. "Maybe I'm overthinking it." However, just then, the figures of Huang Fuju and William outside the window caught her attention. Why were they going out so late and without bodyguards? She suddenly felt uneasy. William must have gotten something from Gan Tang just now. He must want to do another DNA test. Then she slipped into Huang Fuju's room, preparing to take her passport, wanting to leave quickly before they returned. But to Gan Tian's surprise, 6 years had passed, and he hadn't even changed the room's password. Wanting to get away from Huang Fuju, she lied that her son had a fever and tricked the driver into taking them to the hospital. Then, on the way to the hospital, she pulled another trick. "Stop the car, I feel a little sick." The driver, completely unaware, quickly pulled the car over to the side of the road. However, just as he was handing water to the vomiting Gan Tian struck the driver's vital point, knocking him unconscious. Then she took the driver's phone and threw it far away. Only this way could the driver not contact Huang Fuju. After handling everything, she immediately booked a flight out of Paris via her phone. Meanwhile, Huang Fuju was at the DNA testing facility. He was extremely anxious at this moment. No matter what, he had to know the results tonight, so he waited with great patience. Sure enough, the conspicuous 99% on the test report made him both excited and thrilled. He even disregarded his image and shouted Gan Tian's name in the street. "You damn woman, you said you didn't like me, that it was just a game. So why did you give birth to my child?" But when he returned home, she was already gone. Anger and disappointment welled up in his heart. He hurriedly checked the passport in his hand, only to find it missing. He understood what had happened. Gan Tian had run away again. He then chased her back to the country overnight. However, when he rushed to Gan Tian's residence, she had already checked out. She had even quit her job at the hotel, as if erasing all traces related to Huang Fuju. But at this moment, how could Huang Fuju possibly give up? As long as she was alive, he would definitely find her. William suggested publishing their photos to find them, but Huang Fuju refused. He believed Gan Tian must have her reasons for running away like that. Therefore, if he used such an extreme method, it would surely backfire and make them disappear completely. Just as he was racking his brains, William revealed a shocking piece of information. It turned out that Gan Tang's hair was given to him by the little guy himself, which meant that Gan Tang already knew about his father's existence. Thinking of this, Huang Fuju couldn't help but feel worried, wondering about Gan Tang's reaction. At that time, William sighed and said that Gan Tang had asked him, "Do you really love my mommy?" Gan Tian came to the hotel late at night to retrieve the tattoo design stored in. the office, but unexpectedly, she ran into Huang Fuju as she was about to return. Just as she recovered from her shock, she was forcibly dragged into a room by Huang Fuju. Hearing the sound of the door being locked from the outside, Gan Yuan angrily cursed at Huang Fuju. "What do you think you're doing? You were the one who told me to leave." Huang Fuju didn't listen to a word, simply pulling her into a tight embrace and asking, "Where is Gantang? You have no right to know. He's my son." Gan Yuan tensed up, thinking Huang Fuju was going to take their son away. But Huang Fuju said affectionately, "I never once thought about taking him away. I just want to fulfill my responsibility as a father." Seeing that force wouldn't work, Gan Yuan immediately softened her tone and said, "I've been out for a long time. It's not safe for Gantang to sleep alone. Let me go first." But Huang Fuju was unfazed, holding her tightly and saying, "I'll have William go pick him up." Unexpectedly, with a thud, Huang Fuju was nearly knocked unconscious by a headbutt from Gan Yuan. He couldn't help but marvel at her impressive skills, escaping his grasp so easily. Huang Fuju reached out to grab her, but as soon as he did, he took a solid punch to the face. Huang Fuju was in too much pain to move. Gan Yuan was surprised that Huang Fuju just stood there and took it. She yelled, "Are you an idiot? Don't you know how to dodge?" But Huang Fuju said bluntly, "Are you going to avoid me for the rest of your life? Won't you give me a chance to explain?" As soon as the words left his mouth, Gan Yuan pressed a small knife to Huang Fuju's neck and stated, "Not everything can be explained." Huang Fuju, unafraid of her action, sincerely pleaded for Gan Yuan to stay. Seeing Gan Yuan's resolve waver slightly, Huang Fuju said affectionately, "Stay. I'll take good care of you and our child. Xiao Tang needs a father too." At that moment, Gan Yuan's heart wavered, but reality forced her to tighten her grip on the knife. Seeing blood start to drip from the blade, Huang Fuju didn't care at all. He even said tauntingly, "You dare, but you can't bring yourself to do it." Huang Fuju had hit a nerve, and Gan Yuan was caught in a dilemma. Gan Yuan's hand holding the knife trembled, but she couldn't let her years of effort go to waste. She then shoved Huang Fuju away and held the knife to her own neck. "Are you going to move or not?" Huang Fuju was terrified and repeatedly told her to put the knife down. Seeing he still had no intention of moving, Gan Yuan cut her neck with a knife. Crimson blood immediately flowed from her fair skin. Huang Fuju was horrified. How could she hurt herself like this? He couldn't bear to see the woman he loved suffer even the slightest harm. Having no choice, he reluctantly opened the door for Gan Yuan. She immediately rushed out, leaving behind a heartless parting shot, "Don't follow me, or you'll never see Gantang again in this lifetime." At this moment, Huang Fuju felt helpless. As he was about to leave, a box on the floor caught his attention. The box made Huang Fuju fall into deep thought. Why did she risk coming back for it? Gan Yuan returned home extremely frustrated. She had escaped by threatening suicide, yet she still hadn't gotten what she wanted. She vented all her pent-up anger on the food on her plate. Such a fierce mommy truly piqued Gantang's curiosity. He quickly asked, "Who made mommy angry?" Gan Yuan just sighed, stood up, completely ignoring her son's curiosity, and said to him, "Mommy is going out to look for a job. You be good and stay in the house." But children are naturally playful and can't just stay quietly indoors. He came up with all sorts of reasons to regain his freedom, but Gan Yuan's expression suddenly changed as she said, "You're just like him, always wanting to go against mommy." "Or not." But Gantang asked her, "Who is he?" leaving Gan Yuan stunned. Not knowing how to answer, she turned around, got a pile of crayons, and told Gantang to just draw peacefully. She then went out to look for a job. The moment she left, Gantang picked up the phone and called Huang Fuju. Huang Fuju, who was at his lowest point, received a call from the biological son he had never met. He immediately perked up. While listening to the call, he ordered William to trace its location. As expected, it was within Country A. That reaction speed was too fast. Gantang said seriously, "I'm calling to ask you a few things. Do you really love my mommy? Mommy has a bit of a temper, can't cook, and has many other flaws. Do you still love my mommy?" At this moment, Huang Fuju didn't give a perfunctory answer just because he was talking to a child. He solemnly spoke from the heart. "To me, your mommy is a very special person. She's a very important woman in my life." Huang Fuju had intended to find their location through Gantang, but the little guy unexpectedly said, "I would never sell out my mommy," leaving him speechless. But this kid was also quite cunning. The little guy said he had already convinced his mommy to stay in this city, and whether Huang Fuju could find them depended on his own abilities. In any case, He hadn't acknowledged him as his daddy yet. Hearing this, Huang Fuju said sincerely, "One day, I will make you willingly acknowledge me as your father." Afterwards, Gan Tang gave him 3 days, saying that if he could find them within 3 days, the little guy would give Huang Fuju a big reward. 3 days passed in a flash. On this day, Gan Yuan was taking Gan Tang for a walk in the city. Just as Gan Yuan took some money and walked away, Gan Tang glanced behind him and saw Huang Fuju suddenly appear in front of him. The little guy's face lit up with a smile, and he went forward to greet him. Unexpectedly, the first thing Huang Fuju said was, "What's the reward?" Gan Tang said happily, "In 3 days, it's Mommy's birthday." Huang Fuju was surprised. So this was the reward. A deep smile spread across his handsome face as he murmured, "A birthday, huh? The timing is pretty good." Gan Yuan was initially happy about getting another big client, but when the person who opened the door and walked in was Huang Fuju, she was stunned speechless. She turned to leave, but was stopped by his words, "I'm here to return something to you. Don't you want it?" Seeing the box in his hand, Gan Yuan was furious. He had actually found the box. She wanted to take it back, but Huang Fuju put the box directly into his pocket. Helpless, she turned to leave again, but was surrounded by a group of bodyguards in black. Gan Yuan was exasperated. Was he planning to use his numbers to bully her? Huang Fuju said coldly, "I just want to discuss a little business with you." Gan Yuan knew exactly what he wanted to discuss. She said bluntly, "If you want to talk about acknowledging the child, then forget it." At this moment, Huang Fuju couldn't help but feel angry. He was clearly Gan Tang's father, so why couldn't father and son acknowledge each other? But when he saw the scar on Gan Yuan's neck, his anger instantly vanished. With her stubborn personality, pushing her further would only be counterproductive. So he changed the subject, "Then let's make a deal." As he spoke, he took the box out of his pocket. "You stay for 1 month and help Gan Tang with the company's promotion, and I'll give this back to you." Hearing his proposal, Gan Yuan thought this man was utterly shameless. This was clearly her thing and should be returned to its rightful owner. She reminded Huang Fuju not to be unreasonable, but to be fair, Huang Fuju had his own logic. "Gan Tang is my child too. I have the right to see him." Gan Yuan seemed to understand something. She thought for a moment, then clearly stated her position. "I can agree to your condition, but after 1 month, you must promise not to disturb our lives again." She also demanded a high five to seal the promise. Huang Fuju didn't hesitate and readily high-fived Gan Yuan. But the moment their palms touched, memories from 6 years ago resurfaced in Huang Fuju's mind. He subconsciously tightened his grip on her hand. Before Gan Yuan could react, she shouted. Gan Yuan had prepared the most comprehensive training plan for Huang Fuju. She thought to herself, "If I don't work him like a dog today, Gan Yuan, will write my name backwards." But as she turned, she ran into Jing Chun and immediately blushed. Huang Fuju said ambiguously, "What, are you shy?" Gan Yuan pretended to be calm. "You're the one who should be shy." But her eyes were dishonest, always stealing glances that we've already slept together and touched each other. What's there to be shy about? Next, the hellish workout officially began. First, 50 twisting sit-ups, then 50 burpees for 3 minutes straight. Then another 50 weighted squats. The bodyguards on the side couldn't help but say, "This isn't a workout, this is murder." Seeing Huang Fuju drenched in sweat, Gan Yuan revealed a wicked smile and sighed. "Mr. Huang Fu, are you giving up already? All show and no go, huh?" Before Gan Yuan could finish, Huang Fuju pulled her over and bit her lip. Then he asked with a mischievous smile, "Want to continue?" Flustered by this sudden move, Gan Yuan was speechless. Seeing her silence, Huang Fuju pressed his advantage, sneering inwardly. "Does this woman think my military training since childhood was for nothing?" Gan Yuan was now completely dazed, letting him do as he pleased. Just then, a cry of "Mommy!" snapped Gan Yuan out of it. This indecent scene before him made Gan Tang's eyes go wide. "Mommy, what are you guys doing?" Interrupted, they quickly separated. An awkward atmosphere filled the air. Gan Yuan hurriedly said, "Quick, don't stop, continue." So Huang Fuju started doing push-ups again. Standing to the side, Gan Tang was not happy at all. The little guy grumbled, "Why is Mommy bullying Uncle Huang Fu?" Then he walked over with concern and asked, "Uncle Huang Fu, are you okay? How can a man say he's not okay?" "I'm fine," Huang Fuju said confidently. "It's no problem even if you sit on my back." Hearing this, Gan Tang looked at his mother with expectant eyes. Gan Yuan hesitated for a moment, then agreed. Sitting on Huang Fuju's back, Gan Tang was overjoyed. Watching his body rise and fall rhythmically, Gan Tang couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. My daddy's so amazing. Huang Fuju had been secretly investigating Gan Yuan and her son for several days, but the situation remained unchanged. This made him suspect that she was no ordinary woman. What exactly had she been through? But life had to go on, and the company's press conference had to proceed as scheduled. At the banquet, he had meticulously prepared everything for Gan Yuan. Just as everyone was praising how similar Gan Tang and Huang Fuju's temperaments were, the hall suddenly went dark. Gan Yuan panicked, shouting Gan Tang's name, but there was dead silence all around. There was no response. Gan Yuan's heart was in her throat. Just then, a cheerful birthday song began to play. Following the music, Gan Tang appeared before her, holding a birthday cake. Mommy, happy birthday. I wish you eternal youth, health, and happiness. Gan Yuan was immediately moved to tears, repeatedly saying thank you. At that moment, Gan Tang pointed into the distance with his small hand. Mommy, you should also thank Uncle Huangfu. He's the one playing the music. Huang Fuju turned his head slightly to look at Gan Yuan. His gaze was full of affection. The moment their eyes met, Gan Yuan's heart raced. This must be the taste of love. But 3 seconds later, she showed undisguised disdain. This guy was too much. Yesterday, he showed off his body, and today he's showing off again. Standing beside her, Gan Tang urged Gan Yuan to make a wish. Like all mothers in the world, she didn't wish for herself, but only for her beloved son. I hope Gan Tang grows up healthy, no matter how much I have to suffer. Unconsciously, Huang Fuju slowly approached and held her tightly. With the two of them flanking her, Gan Yuan was immersed in this happiness and romance. She let Huang Fuju lead her, pressing close to him as they cut the cake together. At this time, Gan Tang didn't forget to be Huang Fuju's wingman. Mommy, Uncle Huangfu prepared the cake too. Hearing this, Gan Yuan chuckled inwardly. Then the first bite should be fed to Uncle Huangfu, because she knew Huang Fuju didn't like sweets. Seeing Gan Yuan hand him a piece of cake, Huang Fuju was in extreme agony internally, but still slowly accepted it. Gan Yuan felt the simple happiness she had longed for. But through this happiness, she could only see Huang Fuju falling into danger, even losing his life. Gan Yuan reminded herself not to get too entangled with him again. She had to make him unable to stand her and then give up. So she took the piece of cake from the plate and forcefully smeared it on Huang Fuju's face. With his extreme misophobia, he surely wouldn't be able to stand it. Gan Yuan waited for the storm to arrive. The others who saw this gasped in shock. But Huang Fuju calmly wiped the cream off his face, put it in his mouth to taste it, and then didn't forget to share his tasting notes. At this moment, Gan Yuan was truly astonished. She thought, did I torture him too much yesterday? That his brain short-circuited? But it wasn't over. Huang Fuju pulled Gan Yuan over, scolding her for being so mischievous even after becoming a mother. As he spoke, he smeared the remaining cake on her face and gave her a doting kiss. Afterwards, he showed a triumphant smile, murmuring, I can spoil you and indulge you, but only within the limits of my tolerance. Huang Fuju kept breaking his own bottom lines for this woman. This must be the power of love. But right after, Huang Fuju's happiness was short-lived. His humble love was told to another man as a joke. Even Gan Tang, standing next to him, could smell the jealousy radiating from him. He hurried over to comfort him. I told you, Mommy responds to a soft approach, not a hard one. You have to be cute and act spoiled. Huang Fuju got the hint. Just after wiping Gan Tang's face, Gan Tang asked, is the birthday present ready? Huang Fuju said confidently, of course, and it's one of a kind in the world. It's a gown I personally designed, patterned, and tailored. Gan Tang was extremely surprised. The little guy didn't forget to remind him, then you have to love Mommy well, okay? I'll help you. Just then, Gan Yuan's urging voice was heard again. Gan Tang had a flash of inspiration. Mommy, Uncle Huangfu just said he's taking us to eat sushi. Gan Yuan wanted to refuse, but before she could say anything, Huang Fuju had already asked William to book a table. Such speed. Then he picked up Gan Tang and walked off, ignoring Gan Yuan's shouts from behind. Is this what they call when father and son are of one mind? They can break through metal? Just as Gan Yuan was about to explode, a familiar male voice rang out. Xiao Yuan, Xiao Tang, I've finally found you. He walked straight towards Gan Yuan, chatting with her incessantly about daily matters. Huang Fuju immediately became alert, pulling Gan Yuan into his arms and stating bluntly, "My Yuan's business is none of your concern." A murderous glint flashed in Chao Yang's eyes, wishing he could dismember this man and sprinkle him with cumin and chili powder. But Chao Yang was no pushover either. Completely ignoring Huang Fuju, he smiled brightly and continued talking to Gan Yuan. Gan Yuan was very clever and wanted to use this opportunity to provoke Huang Fuju, so she took the initiative to invite Chao Yang to dinner. As expected, Huang Fuju's expression changed instantly. With a dark face, he said, "Absolutely not. This is our family dinner." Then he dragged Gan Yuan away without a second thought. But the power of love is indeed great. Chao Yang became like a piece of dogskin plaster, stubbornly following the two. He even got into William's driver's seat, truly willing to be a beast of burden for love. William was helpless, but Huang Fuju wasn't flustered at all. He just crooked his finger. William immediately understood. The two chatted outside the car for a while, and then Huang Fuju got in the car happily. He even teased jokingly, "Mr. Chao, aren't you busy preparing for your wedding with Miss Chu?" Chao Yang knew his trick very well. He definitely wanted to expose him in front of Gan Yuan. He quickly retorted, "That's just my parents' arrangement. I'm not interested at all, but I should still congratulate Duke Huangfu on the successful business alliance with the Juesher heiress." The two of them kept exposing each other's secrets in front of Gan Yuan, completely unaware that she didn't care at all. While the two were bickering, they arrived at the restaurant. Chao Yang gallantly opened the car door for Gan Yuan, which annoyed Huang Fuju. He took out a 100 yuan bill and slapped it on Chao Yang's chest. All three were stunned by Huang Fuju's comical action. Even the 5-year-old Gan Tang said he was too childish. But Chao Yang was no pushover. Today, he was determined to embarrass Huang Fuju. He followed them inside. The four of them sat opposite each other, and the atmosphere became extremely awkward. Just then, the door was kicked open, and an angry girl rushed in. "Chao Yang, you scumbag." Seeing Chao Yang shamelessly following them, Huang Fuju had to use his trump card. He had called Chao Yang's fiancée, Chu Xinqing. Seeing Chao Yang's flustered and uneasy look, Huang Fuju was secretly pleased, a triumphant smile on his face. On the surface, he still pretended to be polite, inviting her to eat with them. He seemed very enthusiastic. Afterwards, Chu Xinqing started forcing him into public displays of affection, constantly saying cheesy things, even bringing up topics not suitable for children at the dinner table, all to declare her sovereignty over Chao Yang in front of Gan Yuan. Little did she know it was all in vain. Gan Yuan didn't care at all. However, her behavior was too cringeworthy. While Chao Yang and Chu Xinqing were being lovey-dovey, she suddenly looked at Gan Tang beside her, and a thought flashed through her mind. Gan Tang could be a useful weapon. Oh, is this cute child Miss Gans? All young, let's have one too. Chao Yang was about to be driven mad by this crazy woman. He hurriedly explained that they were only engaged, but before Chao Yang could finish, Chu Xinqing cut in, clapping her little hands and saying, "Anyway, we're just one piece of paper away from being married." Chao Yang instantly blew his top. That statement was too ambiguous. They were clearly just in an ordinary male-female relationship. Now that she said that, his image in Gan Yuan's heart was completely ruined. So he dragged Chu Xinqing away. After the chaos, although the warm family dinner of 3 turned into Chao Yang's joke, it didn't affect Gan Yuan and Huang Fuju's mood at all. Instead, it helped him as if a thorn in his side had been removed. Next up would be the 100 ways to win back his ex-wife. Before leaving, he quickly kissed Gan Yuan, making her face flush red. Gan Yuan was about to be driven crazy by this man. What gentle and handsome man. He was just a greasy old uncle. She went home annoyed. Just then, she felt a strange sensation from a distance, as if someone was staring at her. But when she turned her head, she found nothing. She was completely unaware that a dark figure was watching her every move in plain sight. He forcefully pinned her against the wall. Gan Yuan panicked and kept hitting him. Huang Fuju completely ignored these light punches that felt like a drizzle. His eyes curved as he stared intently at Gan Yuan's figure. He frowned, lost in thought. Her figure was no different from 6 years ago. It was just that her chest seemed fuller than before. He stared without blinking, murmuring that her neckline was too low. Just as he was regretting the V-neck design, Gan Yuan kept pulling it down. She said angrily, "There's nothing between us. Why do you have to control what I wear? I'll wear it as low as I want." He moved closer to her, Gan Yuan wanted to break free from his grasp, so she kept struggling. At this point, Huang Fuju was losing his patience. He said in a low voice, "If you struggle again, I'll kiss you by force." Gan Yuan was also annoyed. She pulled the brooch from his suit and was about to stab it into Huang Fuju's heart when he snatched it away. He casually pinned it on her chest, blocking the beautiful scenery. He looked at his handiwork with great satisfaction, but Gan Yuan was not happy at all. She kept nagging him to compensate her for the dress. He wasn't angry or annoyed. Huang Fuju lifted Gan Yuan's face and kissed her deeply, then warned her arrogantly. If she dared to take it off tonight, he would tell Gan Tang that he was the little guy's father. Gan Yuan gritted her teeth in anger, but she had no choice but to accept it silently. The press conference started soon. Gan Tang was the coolest boy on stage. At this moment, Gan Yuan only had eyes for her handsome little boy. She completely ignored Huang Fuju, who was slowly walking towards her. As she was lost in her excitement, Huang Fuju secretly planted a hickey on her neck. Then he ignored Gan Yuan's anger, took her hand, and kissed it gently. Huang Fuju said one word, "Wait for me." So profound. Who could resist such a tease? She cursed this reckless man under her breath, but her heart couldn't help but pound. With flashing lights and thumping music, Gan Tang coolly walked onto the stage. Following closely behind Gan Tang was Huang Fuju, wearing a matching father-son outfit with the little guy. Everyone cheered for their handsomeness, their excited hearts about to leap out of the screen. But at this moment, Gan Yuan clenched her hands tightly. She was scared. There were too many media present, with him and Gan Tang on stage together. If they found out about this, she couldn't imagine the consequences. Although Huang Fuju was impeccable, Gan Yuan didn't want to accept this kindness. Right now, she just wanted to leave this place quickly. Every extra minute she stayed by Huang Fuju's side could put her and her son in greater danger. While the two were in turmoil, a little boy ran over to report that Gan Tang was fighting with another child. At that moment, Gan Tang was being pinned to the ground by a blonde boy. Not one to be outdone, Gan Tang kicked the boy away. All's fair in war. Seeing the adults gathering, the blonde boy started throwing a tantrum, crying and wailing. Gan Yuan quickly rushed over to check on her son carefully, but before she could react, the shrill scolding of a woman in a red dress rang out. Without distinguishing right from wrong, she started cursing. She listed how noble her son's status was. When she was about to attack, she was stopped by Gan Yuan. But what scared her was not Gan Yuan, but the cold, sharp gaze of the man standing behind her. An immense pressure made the woman in red tremble involuntarily. Seeing that he had adult backup, Jiruwei also became arrogant, constantly calling Gan Tang a bastard, completely unaware that a storm was about to brew. How could Huang Fuju stand by and let someone call his son a bastard? He was furious, but before he could react, Jiruwei charged directly at Gan Tang. Gan Yuan quickly shielded her son, letting the fists rain down on her. This scene completely enraged Huang Fuju. How could he tolerate someone bullying his woman and his son? He grabbed the little boy, and Jiruwei was instantly lifted into the air. No one can look down on Huang Fuju's son, not even a child. Everyone was terrified by this scene. William also panicked, secretly praying that someone would step up and stop him. Otherwise, if things escalated into a dispute between two countries, it would be big trouble. Seeing that he was about to go berserk, Gan Yuan stepped forward, put the child down quickly. "You're scaring Gan Tang." Gan Yuan was afraid it would cause a commotion and attract reporters, thus exposing their relationship. Huang Fuju seemed to realize that this action might leave a bad impression on Gan Tang. So he gave him a way out, telling Jiruwei to apologize to Gan Tang, and the matter would be over. Behind them, Gan Tang was completely mesmerized by Huang Fuju's cool move. His eyes were sparkling, but Gan Yuan was not happy, thinking, "Cool my foot, we almost got into big trouble. This Huang Fuju is too doting on his wife." She just sneezed, and he took off his coat to put it on her. He also gave her a tight hug. Caught off guard by his sudden action, Gan Yuan heard Huang Fuju say, "This will be warmer." Who could resist such a pursuit from a domineering CEO? Gan Yuan's face was already red with shyness, but she stubbornly insisted she wasn't cold. In fact, she had already fallen for it. She began to blame herself. "I should have left decisively back then and never appeared before him again." But this feeling of not being able to let go, I avoided him for 6 years. Was it all for nothing? Thinking of this, she forcefully pushed Huang Fuju away. She couldn't go on like this. If this continued, those people would find out sooner or later. She wanted to quickly take Gan Tang and leave him, as the 1-month agreement was already over. She gently woke up Gan Tang, who was still sleeping soundly in his sweet dreams. Unexpectedly, the first thing the little guy said when he opened his eyes was, "Mommy, Uncle Huangfu said we can go to the beach." Gan Tang seemed to sense her hesitation and continued, "Mommy can't go back on her word. Mommy said before that, after the event, you would take me to the beach to swim." Tang Aining was a loss for words and could only use delaying tactics. Unexpectedly, Tang started to act pitiful, saying that all the kids in his kindergarten had been, and he was the only one who hadn't. His miserable look was truly heart-wrenching. Tang Aining thought for a long time, but still didn't answer, seeing the mother and son at a stalemate. Huang Fuju immediately went forward to hug Tang. He gently comforted him, saying, "Xiao Tang, let's go home first. Uncle will come to pick you two up on the weekend." A promise between a mother and son cannot be broken. Without even caring about Tang Aining's reaction, he settled it just like that. Tang happily gave her a kiss to show his delight. Tang Aining could only accept it helplessly. She had no idea this whole scene was a scheme by the father and son. Later, they also didn't expect that what was supposed to be a happy parent-child time would turn into something Tang Aining would regret immensely. This was Tang's first time at the beach, so he was very happy. Moreover, with both his father and mother by his side this time, he had a wonderful time playing. Huang Fuju wasn't idle either. He kept teasing his treasure from time to time, causing Tang Aining to blush and silently deny it in her heart. What kind of demon is this man? After all these years, his figure is still so perfect. Seeing Tang Aining blush to the roots of her neck, Huang Fuju secretly snickered. "She's shy. She still has me in her heart." He kept asking Tang Aining to stay at the hotel tonight, but the result, of course, was a flat refusal from Tang Aining. Helpless, Huang Fuju had to turn to Tang, and the two had a great time playing. Watching the father and son play so intimately, Tang Aining couldn't help but be lost in thought. Maybe I'm really overthinking it. After all this time, that person has probably forgotten everything. Why should I torture myself for someone else's mistake? Then she saw a beautiful girl approach Huang Fuju and strike up a conversation with him. She felt a little jealous in her heart. The air was filled with the sour smell of vinegar. A ball flew from somewhere, heading straight for Tang. Tang Aining hurriedly ran over, but by this time, Huang Fuju had already pounced to hug Tang, shielding him in his arms. Then two young men ran over, hastily apologizing for the ball just now. At the same time, they also expressed their desire to make amends, so they gave Tang a gift as an apology. Then the man raised a dagger that appeared out of nowhere. The scene changed too quickly. Huang Fuju swiftly hugged Tang, and fresh blood flowed. Seeing this, Gan Yuan rushed forward to stand in front of them. She never expected that the scene she most wanted to avoid had still happened. She began to blame herself. I shouldn't have let my guard down, shouldn't have agreed to Huang Fuju's request. The bodyguards also rushed over at this time, so the two men had to flee quickly. Looking at the frightened mother and son, Huang Fuju was both heartbroken and furious. He couldn't tolerate someone trying to harm his treasure, so he immediately ordered a thorough investigation. But Gan Yuan did not cooperate. She just wanted to get away from Huang Fuju as soon as possible. No one knew better than her that that person had already appeared. Because of the dangerous encounter on the beach last time, Gan Yuan strongly demanded to go home immediately. Huang Fuju knew that the danger still lurked until everything was investigated. But to put Gan Yuan and his son at ease, he agreed to let them go home. "If you don't want to stay, then I'll go home with you." Looking at Gan Yuan's nervous appearance, Huang Fuju seemed to realize something. Not long after, the three of them left the hotel under the protection of bodyguards. Gan Yuan held Tang tightly, terrified that something would happen if she let go, even when her arm ached to the point of a muscle strain. Huang Fuju noticed all of this. He took Tang from Gan Yuan's arms and walked straight ahead. Just as Gan Yuan was about to say something, a strange sound reached her ears. She turned her head and saw a group of people playing, and a sudden ominous premonition rose in her heart. Seeing Tang and Huang Fuju getting close to the car, she was extremely worried, her heart beating faster and faster, and she couldn't help but rush towards them. Then there was a loud bang, and she was shielded under a bodyguard. A ball of fire exploded before her eyes. The bodyguards fell to the ground, trembling. Gan Yuan's mind was blank at this moment, her body trembling uncontrollably. She ran quickly to Tang Tang's side. The moment she saw Tang Tang, her heart broke. When she touched the fresh blood, she was even more terrified. Sorrowful tears flowed continuously from her eyes. Just then, Tang Tang opened his eyes. The boy said to her in a weak voice, "Mommy, Daddy saved me." Only then did Gan Yuan see the blood-soaked and unconscious Huang Fuju. At this moment, Gan Yuan was truly afraid of losing the man she loved. After the doctor's all-out rescue efforts, Huang Fuju was finally out of mortal danger. But because shrapnel from the explosion had injured his lungs, it would take half a month to recover. Tang Tang sat obediently by the bed, looking at the still unconscious Uncle Huangfu, and said, "I will wait here for Uncle Huangfu to wake up." The previous brutal scene flashed through Gan Yuan's mind again. Why am I so selfish? He said he would protect me and my daughter, and he did. I can't selfishly risk Huang Fuju's and Tang Tang's safety for my happiness. As long as I am with Huang Fuju, those people will never let us go. Thinking of this, Gan Yuan had no choice but to force herself to give up. Just as she was about to take Tang Tang away, her hand was grabbed tightly. Using his still unhealed body, he forced Gan Yuan to stay and take care of him. In the following days, Gan Yuan took very meticulous care of Huang Fuju. His body gradually recovered, but the knot in her heart was never untied. He questioned Gan Yuan, "Who is that person? The one who made you leave without a word 6 years ago. The one who made you run away and not let Tang Tang acknowledge me. Who is he?" Gan Yuan panicked. She wanted to hide, but was held tightly by Huang Fuju. Seeing Gan Yuan's uneasy expression, Huang Fuju also became anxious. Are they trying to hurt Xiao Tang? Being asked this, Gan Yuan's last line of defense instantly collapsed. In her struggle with him, she blurted out, "That person is a madman. As long as I'm with you, he will not only hurt Xiao Tang, but he will also hurt you." This answer was clearly the best declaration of love. At this moment, Huang Fuju didn't care about the danger, nor did he care about the injuries on his body. The only thing left in his mind was Gan Yuan's concerned words just now. He forcefully pulled Gan Yuan onto the hospital bed, wanting to hold her even tighter. For the first time in 6 years, it felt so real. So she has always loved me. This wasn't just my wishful thinking. He looked at the girl beneath him and passionately declared his love. "I will not let anyone hurt you and our daughter, even if I have to risk my life." Gan Yuan shouted in shame and anger, "Huang Fuju, don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're injured." But Huang Fuju just smirked and said, "I'm really looking forward to what you want to do to me." The night passed just like that in the couple's whispers. But sweet times are always short. Early in the morning, an unexpected guest paid a visit. 1 second, he was energetically reviewing documents, but after hearing a sound, he turned into a weak, sickly patient again. After getting a word of concern from Gan Yuan, he became even bolder. He stood up shakily, looking as if he could be blown over by the wind at any moment. How could the innocent Gan Yuan have ever seen such a scene? She quickly ran over to support him. Huang Fuju took the opportunity to fall into her arms. Who knows where this domineering CO learned to act? He just relaxed like that, relying on Gan Yuan's small strength to lie on the bed. But this wasn't over. He even used his injured body to demand to move in with her. Gan Yuan still had her bottom line. Taking care of him was fine, but living with him was not. She hadn't even finished her sentence. Only a cry of awe was heard, and the soup bowl in Gan Yuan's hand tipped directly onto Huang Fuju. Seeing the soup stain on Huang Fuju's chest, she panicked. "Can't you just lie down properly?" Then she grabbed his shirt and hastily wiped it. But how could a soup stain be wiped off so easily? Gan Yuan helplessly suggested that Huang Fuju take off his shirt. But at this moment, his acting bug was in full swing. He lifted his bangs and said pitifully, "I'm injured." Gan Yuan had to do it herself. She muttered in her heart, "He's usually so serious. How come he's like a child now?" But when she saw his body full of scars, her heart trembled, and the defenses in her heart crumbled to dust. She grabbed the shirt and ran into the bathroom. What followed was a warm embrace. Gan Yuan was flustered by his sudden move and blushed. She asked in a panic, "Aren't you unwell? What are you doing in here?" Huang Fuju said shamelessly, "I'm covered in soup. I need to wash up." After saying that, he leaned in even closer. Just as the two were still flirting, Tang Tang arrived. "That's right, this kid was here to spoil the fun." "Huh, why is no one here?" the boy saw the two of them coming out of the bathroom together. Tang Tang was stunned. He suddenly felt that he had come at the wrong time. At night, Gan Yuan put on the dress she had worn on the rooftop garden 6 years ago. She never thought that this man had actually kept this dress for 6 years. Huang Fuju gently pulled her into his arms and whispered in her ear, "I have many other things collected. I'll tell you about them slowly in the future." Accompanied by the familiar sound, it was as if they had returned to that night 6 years ago. The two held each other tightly. Only Huang Fuju could never forget that 6 years ago, when the music ended, Gan Yuan also vanished without a trace. He waited for a long time that morning. She disappeared as if she had never existed. But today, he continued to give up on the song. He wanted to change the ending from 6 years ago. He would not let Gan Yuan leave again. Then he loosened his tie and kept saying, "This time, I won't let you leave again. I'm not afraid of anything for you." Then he pushed Gan Yuan onto the bed. After a night of passion, Gan Yuan seemed to enter another world. They were like a young couple, hand in hand, happily running through a forest full of flowers, as if only the two of them existed. In this world, Gan Yuan sat on a horse, and Huang Fuju held the reins. Isn't this a princess and a prince? Then Huang Fuju lifted Gan Yuan up and confessed his love to her deeply. "Stay by my side, let me be your family." But then a gunshot rang out and fresh blood splattered. Gan Yuan screamed in terror, calling Huang Fuju's name. "What's wrong?" Gan Yuan was startled awake. It turned out to be just a dream. But the current situation of the two made Gan Yuan jump up quickly, revealing Huang Fuju's supreme treasure. Along with her scream, Huang Fuju was stunned. Her reaction was too exaggerated. Gan Yuan, blushing red, ran into the bathroom, peeking out while constantly cursing the bastard Huang Fuju outside. In the room outside, Huang Fuju was a bit dazed. Is she angry? Is it because of last night's public business? I didn't perform well? At this moment, in a villa, someone was staring at a photo of Huang Fuju and Gan Yuan. Interestingly, they had similar search trends. At a press conference, photos of Gan Yuan and Huang Fuju at a media event were released and immediately became the hottest topic of discussion. Not only curious people like your brother Huang Fuqi, but even the third princess of the royal family. Also called to ask, "My brother has good taste. My sister-in-law is very beautiful." These words weighed heavily on Huang Fuqi's heart. It meant that his parents already knew and could come here at any time. However, that wasn't all. Seeing Gan Yuan unhappy upon arrival was completely beyond his initial expectations. Originally, he wanted to let Gan Yuan do what she liked and help Huang Fuju with publicity, but it backfired. She doesn't want her private life to become a topic because danger could appear at any time. Seeing Gan Yuan's flustered expression, Huang Fuju asked with concern, "Are you afraid that too much exposure for Xiao Tang will attract unnecessary attention?" Seeing Gan Yuan's silence, he continued, "The current situation can't be solved by you running away. Besides, you ate me clean last night. Are you trying to deny it now?" Gan Yuan's face instantly turned red at Huang Fuju's words. She didn't expect him to say such a thing at this time. Gan Yuan wants her son to have a simple childhood, not one of constantly evading unpredictable dangers and hiding in a villa all day. Now that the news is everywhere, with the intention of exposing that person's identity, it not only puts Xiao Tang in danger, but also you. Huang Fuju gazed deeply at Gan Yuan. Xiao Tang needs to have a normal childhood. He shouldn't just have a mother. He needs a father by his side even more. Gan Yuan's eyes welled up with guilt. She didn't want things to turn out this way. But who's to blame when he is the heir to the throne? Heartbroken, she threw herself into Huang Fuju's arms. She cherished this feeling. But what she can do now is to try her best to protect him and Xiao Tang from harm. She immediately turned around. She left heartbroken. At this moment, Huang Fuju's expression was very serious. He secretly resolved to find out who attacked Gan Yuan and Xiao Tang, and the reason Gan Yuan has been hiding from him all these years. She noticed signs of someone squatting on the ground and immediately became nervous. Has this place been monitored? Has that person already entered the villa? She was shrouded in fear. She hastily called back Tang Tang, who was chasing a puppy deep in the forest. It's over. A large hand made Tang Tang freeze instantly. Looking up, he saw Huang Fuju holding a cute puppy. By the time Gan Yuan arrived, seeing such a heartwarming scene, her panicked mood calmed down a bit. Tang Tang was very happy after getting the puppy and went to play by himself. By the way, Huang Fuju also stated the purpose of his trip. I found a mastermind behind the explosion. It's a wanted criminal from Country A. He followed me from Country A to here. The last explosion was premeditated by them. Now you and Xiao Tang will no longer be in any danger. At this moment, Gan Yuan was lost in thought again. Were they after Huang Fuju? But on the beach that day, they were clearly after Xiao Tang. Could it really have nothing to do with that person? Gan Yuan wanted to verify further, so she directly asked to see their files. Afterwards, they went to the study together, looking at the files while listening to Huang Fuju clear up the misunderstanding of the whole incident. Gan Yuan still felt something was not right. I'm afraid they are treating me and Xiao Tang as the people closest to you. Shouldn't an assassin choose the right moment to deliver a fatal blow? Hinting like this will only alert the enemy. That would instead lose the best opportunity to attack you. Listening to Gan Yuan's reasoning, a strange interest flashed in Huang Fuju's eyes. How do you know so much about assassins? Gan Yuan's eyes widened immediately, almost exposing her identity. So she hastily explained, I'm just analyzing based on common sense. After all, you're their target. I really can't figure out why they would do this. Then if you wanted to kill me, what would you do? Gan Yuan was stumped by this sudden question, unable to speak for a moment. Has he already sensed something? Just as she was thinking about how to answer, he forcefully pinned her against the wall. Looking at his approaching face and feeling his tightening fingers, Gan Yuan's heart leaped to her throat. What should I do? Gan Yuan was still sound asleep when Huang Fuju suddenly woke her up. Gan Yuan, you must leave now. Assassins are attacking here. Gan Yuan was terrified. How could she leave him now? Hasn't she been hiding for 6 years just to bring him peace? But when Gan Yuan regained consciousness, the sharp blade in her hand was already firmly planted in Huang Fuju's chest. Facing Huang Fuju's questioning, Gan Yuan looked at the blood dripping from her hand and the voice in her ear. Congratulations, girl. You have finally completed the mission. You are indeed the best assassin in the organization. Gan Yuan immediately broke down. She never expected that after trying so hard to hide, she would end up killing him with her own hands. Along with her scream, Gan Yuan woke up from the nightmare, realizing it was all just a dream. The fear in her heart gradually dissipated, but the empty space beside her on the bed instantly threw her into extreme panic. She hastily looked for Tang Tang. Just then, the sound of the two playing came from outside the window. Don't run, baby, don't run. The heartwarming scene before her immediately filled her with a sense of happiness. She quickly changed her clothes and ran downstairs. But when she and Huang Fuju made eye contact, Gan Yuan unconsciously took a few steps back. She was afraid that last night's dream was a warning, and even more afraid that Huang Fuju would be harmed. Recalling all the daily romance during this time, the parent-child time at the amusement park were all distant dreams for her. She was so carried away by happiness that she forgot her original purpose for approaching him. She and he are destined not to be like ordinary people. So how can they have the happiness of ordinary people? But his vow was not made lightly. Huang Fuju kept his promise. Soon, the wanted criminals were captured. Of course, everything was moving in a good direction. They started shopping without any worries and had a blast at the amusement park. The family enjoyed delicious food together, and Tang Tang was soon going to kindergarten like other children. Gan Yuan knew that for this matter to be resolved so smoothly and quickly, Huang Fuju inevitably used his power. Looking at Tang Tang's happy smile, her heart was filled with relief. This is how a child should be. However, behind that warm scene, a mysterious man appeared. To win her, he was willing to risk his life. She never expected that a domineering CEO like him would turn into an incredibly clingy, innocent boy. It wasn't enough to accompany Gan Yuan and Tang Tang to school. He also had to personally escort her home. Gan Yuan kindly advised him, there's no need. I still have to check in at the fitness club. We're not going the same way. But Huang Fuju didn't care and said matter-of-factly, it's on the way. I want to go work out too. Then I'll take you back to the apartment to get your things, and we'll go pick up Xiao Tang together. It sounded reasonable, but Gan Yuan didn't want to indulge him and suggested a different route. But Huang Fuju insisted it was still on the way. On the way, Gan Yuan was stunned. Does he have nothing to do today, using on the way as an excuse to follow her? In the end, Gan Yuan had no choice but to compromise. However, surprises are always unexpected. They had just arrived downstairs when Xiao Yang also appeared. When love rivals meet, their eyes burn with jealousy. After a fierce exchange of glares, Huang Fuju took the initiative to invite Chao Liang to dinner. After the last dinner party, Chao Liang was already scared. It took him a lot of effort to get rid of Chu Xianqing's entanglement. Who knows what tricks this hypocritical guy is up to this time? He hastily refused Huang Fuju's invitation. However, how could Huang Fuju let him off so easily? He set the time and place himself, then pulled Gan Yuan and left. At the kindergarten, Tang Tang was very happy to see his father and mother coming to pick him up from school. However, his mother's flushed face caught Tang Tang's attention. "Mommy, why is your face so red?" being asked by this little rascal. The scene from just now replayed in her mind, making her secretly complain that Huang Fuju was an insatiable lecher who always had different reasons to tease her, and she was unable to resist. The three of them soon arrived at the pre-booked hotel. Chao Liang had been waiting for a long time. Seeing Huang Fuju arrive, Chao Liang couldn't help but look around, afraid that Huang Fuju would pull the same trick and call Chu Xianqing over. Fireworks lit up the night sky, attracting a crowd to watch. Chao Liang looked at the warm scene of the family of three and felt a sense of loss in his heart. Perhaps he was the extra one, taking advantage of Huang Fuju taking Tang Tang away. Chao Liang and Gan Yuan had a heart-to-heart and laid everything out. In fact, this was all part of Huang Fuju's calculation. He had long seen that Chao Liang had something to say and deliberately gave them space to make a clean break. Just then, as expected, Chu Xianqing appeared. "Chao Liang, you bastard." Hearing this, Chao Liang took to his heels and ran. The two whispered in the distance. "Did Uncle Huang Fu call Annie Chu over?" "Yes, you should thank him for taking care of you and Mommy before." After countless hardships, the person he loved finally moved in with him. At night, he was calculating the 9-9 multiplication table. While Gan Yuan was organizing things, he eagerly sidled up to her, touching her from time to time, making Gan Yuan absent-minded. Huang Fuju put his arm around her shoulder and took the opportunity to apply force. Gan Yuan was pressed close to him. However, Gan Yuan was completely unaware of his intentions, completely immersed in her memories. Looking at Tang Tang's childhood photos, Huang Fuju said softly, "You've worked hard all these years." Hearing this, Gan Yuan felt a trace of comfort. She had been worried that Huang Fuju would blame her for making him miss Tang Tang's growth. She didn't expect that not only did he not resent her, but he was even more grateful to her. "Gan Yuan, thank you for bringing Tang Tang into this world and raising him so well." After speaking, he hugged Gan Yuan tightly and murmured, "Do you regret meeting me?" Memories flashed back to 6 years ago, their first meeting at the ski resort. Huang Fuju was deeply attracted by her strength, but just then, an avalanche occurred. At that moment, Gan Yuan was safely shielded under Huang Fuju. Through the glass of their goggles, it was love at first sight. Even now, Gan Yuan has never regretted their meeting. On the contrary, she is even more grateful. If it weren't for Huang Fuju, she would have been buried in that avalanche years ago. Just when she thought everything would go smoothly, Gan Yuan stood up with force, nearly dislocating Huang Fuju's jaw. But her body betrayed her, and she fell towards Huang Fuju, resulting in a scene that everyone dislikes watching. Let's skip it. Early in the morning, Gan Yuan woke up and put a GPS watch on Tang Tang's wrist, ordering him never to take it off. It turned out that Tang Tang was going to participate in a field trip to the suburbs. Today, Gan Yuan was deep in thought, her heart in her throat. After sending Tang Tang off, she frequently checked her phone, monitoring her son's location. She had to ensure her son's safety at all times. At this moment, Gan Yuan was humming a song and carrying food for dinner when suddenly Tang Tang's teacher called. "Miss Gan, is Tang Tang with you?" Gan Yuan immediately froze. An ominous premonition enveloped her. It turned out that half an hour ago, while Tang Tang was playing, someone came to pick him up. At this moment, Gan Yuan was on the verge of collapse. The thing she feared most had finally happened. The couple had just overcome difficulties to be together, but unexpectedly, the very next day, their beloved son was kidnapped. After receiving the news, they immediately met with the teacher, but in the end, there was no miracle. They searched all the places Tang Tang might have gone and confirmed that Tang Tang had indeed been kidnapped. Gan Yuan quickly analyzed the surrounding terrain in her mind. The perpetrator would definitely escape with Tang Tang through the mountains, so she hurriedly gave chase. At this moment, she wished she could immediately rush to Tang Tang's side. But on the rugged ground, just as she was about to fall, Huang Fuju from behind held her tightly, and the two rolled down together. Huang Fuju once again became Gan Yuan's human shield. I know you're anxious, but you must take care of yourself. Just then, Gan Yuan discovered Tang Tang's handkerchief. This proved that Gan Yuan's idea was correct. Huang Fuju immediately ordered pursuit. Meanwhile, Tang Tang was engaged in a battle of wits with the bad guys. Don't look at his young age. He possesses the calmness and wisdom of an adult. First, he started to slip his strands of hair out of the car. He remembered his mother once said that if he was unfortunately kidnapped by bad guys, he must find a chance to drop his own things on the road so that his mother could find him. At the same time, he had to calmly outwit the bad guys, boasting that his family was so rich that even gods couldn't compare. The intelligence of this group of bad guys was truly questionable, as they were tricked and run in circles by a 5-year-old child. After their fanciful idea of sending Tang and to his death, they planned to exchange Tang and his clothes for a large sum of money. As the mountain road became more rugged and Tang realized his surroundings were growing more desolate, he couldn't help but feel nervous. But just then, the car suddenly stopped, and the trunk door was jolted open. While the bad guys were checking the car's condition, he secretly climbed out and ran for his life. The bad guys were in hot pursuit. Misfortunes never come singly. He ran with all his might, but he ran into a dead end at a deep abyss. The bad guy revealed a sinister smile, but Tang was unflustered in the face of danger. "Uncle, don't you want money? I can have my mom give it to you, as much as you want." The bad guy was overjoyed to hear this, but he didn't give up the idea of killing the boy. He ordered Tang to take off his jacket and throw it over there, as he didn't want to get blood on the clothes, or he wouldn't get the money. Seeing Tang obediently do as he was told, he was secretly delighted, not knowing that as Tang threw the jacket, he also threw a handful of dirt and sand. The bad guy was blinded, and Tang took the opportunity to escape. But unfortunately, he tripped over a large rock. The sound of footsteps grew closer. Just then, with a thud, the bad guy was kicked several meters away. A handsome man appeared before him. That's right, it was young Master Moses, the person Tang had been afraid of and avoiding. However, he didn't seem to be a vicious villain. On the contrary, he took care of Tang very meticulously. Seeing that Tang's leg was injured, he even prepared to call for help. However, deep in the mountains and old forests, there was no signal at all. So, young Master Moses carried Tang towards the road. In a dilapidated hut, Moses put Tang down. "Little friend, you rest here for a bit. I'll go to higher ground to see if there's a signal." Meanwhile, Gan Yuan and Huang Fuju followed the clues left by Tang and found this place. They discovered the kidnappers and, after a harsh interrogation, obtained a lead. The two followed closely behind and finally found Tang, and mother and son were reunited, hugging each other tightly, as if they had been separated for a very long time. At this moment, Huang Fuju noticed something unusual. A waterproof cushion was placed where Tang was sitting, obviously placed there intentionally for him. So who was this person? Huang Fuju hurriedly asked about what had happened. "Uncle Huang Fu, a mountain climber, saved me. He went to find a phone signal." Seeing that dusk was falling, Huang Fuju prepared to take the mother and son back the way they came. Unexpectedly, on a distant mountain peak, Moses was staring intently at their departing figures. They soon arrived at the hospital for a series of examinations and treatments on Tang's leg. After returning home, Tang stuck to Huang Fuju like a shadow, even asking him for a bath. Seeing the harmonious scene between the two, Gan Yuan's heart ached. He was the crown prince of a country. When had he ever done such a thing? Just then, William returned. It seemed he had found something. So, in a dark suburb, Ji Ryu was pinned firmly to the ground by two people, begging Huang Fuju for mercy. Yet he adamantly denied everything he had done. Then Huang Fuju gave an order, and a sharp sword was stuck between his fingers. Terrified, he screamed and howled, confessing everything truthfully. It turned out that Direct Envoy was just a nickname for the ambassador of the Just country. The previous kidnapping incident gave Huang Fuju the idea of making Tang stronger. Only by being strong could he avoid being bullied. So, Huang Fuju decided to arrange tutors for Tang preparing to teach him diplomatic etiquette, boxing, shooting, and so on. Hearing this, Tang An was thrilled, knowing that if he went home with Uncle Huangfu, he could also see fighter jets and submarines. He was overwhelmed with happiness, wishing he could go home with Uncle Huangfu immediately. But when truly faced with the question of whether to go back with him, Tang An's answer was no. He shook his head like a rattle drum. I want to be with Mommy. I'll be wherever Mommy is. Huangfu Ju wore a confident expression. I will convince your mother. Gan Yuan was stunned by the story of Huangfu Ju and his son and couldn't help but feel anxious. As the crown prince of country A, did he want to take Tang and back to be his heir? While her son was away, Gan Yuan stated solemnly, "My son is not going anywhere." Huangfu Ju said meaningfully, "He will be wherever you are." In the dark of night, Gan Yuan was lost in thought again. Huangfu Ju was a future king, as dazzling as the sun. Getting too close could easily lead to getting hurt. The series of events had sounded an alarm bell for Gan Yuan. Tang An was too young and had no ability to protect himself. She hoped more for him to have a peaceful and ordinary childhood. As Huangfu Ju approached, Gan Yuan finally spoke her mind. "Huangfu Ju, let me and my son leave." As soon as the words fell, Huangfu Ju immediately became angry. "Why are you bringing this up again?" "I don't agree." Gan Yuan grabbed Huangfu Ju, somewhat agitated. "I've always hoped Xiao and could live a normal life like other children." Huangfu Ju frowned. "That he is my son, which means he is different from ordinary people. This is his destiny." However, how could Gan Yuan agree? Angrily, she turned to leave. Huangfu Ju held her tightly, speaking to Gan Yuan urgently in a pleading tone. "Don't go. Don't disappear again. As long as you're willing to stay, power, status, money, identity, none of it matters." In her desperation, she blurted out, "Fine. If you promise to give up your position as heir, then I'll stay. I'll give you 3 days to think about it." Then she turned and left, leaving Huangfu Ju in stunned silence. Between the kingdom and the beauty, what would Huangfu Ju choose? Early in the morning, Huangfu Ju went to find his younger brother. "Huangfu Qi," he said with a serious face, "I want you to inherit the throne." But Huangfu Qi, who lived an artistic life unconcerned with worldly affairs, had no interest in the throne. Faced with such a question, the best way was to play deaf and dumb, pretending he heard nothing. Huangfu Ju got a little angry and snatched the book off his face. Huangfu Qi turned away, continuing to pretend he hadn't heard. But with a tearing sound, Huangfu Qi immediately opened his eyes and jumped up in a rage. "You madman. This is an original manuscript from the song Dynasty." But Huangfu Ju didn't back down from his anger and continued to stare coldly at Huangfu Qi, whose face showed obvious exhaustion. "Why are you trying to pass the buck to me?" Then he started to brainwash his brother. "Brother, you don't understand love. If a woman truly loves you, she will love you whether you are a king or a beggar." Hearing Huangfu Qi's refusal, Huangfu Ju tightened his grip on the book, making Huangfu Qi plead for mercy. "Brother, I promise, I will do my best to help you win back Gan Yuan's heart. Can you just obediently ascend your throne, please?" Then he started to put on a teary-eyed act. "Look at me. Do I look like a king in any way? Besides, once the throne changes hands, it will cause a series of chain reactions, like our parents' reaction, your supporters' reaction, and the media's reaction. Wouldn't that just be pushing Gan Yuan into another fiery pit?" Seeing that his brother was no longer reacting as fiercely as before, Huangfu Qi continued to brainwash him that a man can only protect his woman when he is powerful, right? Just then, William called. "Young master, Miss Gan Yuan is missing." Then Huangfu Ju immediately ran out like the wind, leaving Huangfu Qi to sigh poetically. What is this thing called love that makes one so utterly infatuated? On the other side, Gan Yuan had already brought Tang into the airport. Just as they were about to go through the security check, an anxious look appeared on Tang An's face. Was he really going to let his mom and dad separate just like that? Then the boy came up with an idea. "Mommy, my stomach hurts." Gan Yuan was speechless. Didn't he just use the restroom before they left? Although she was still a bit suspicious, she had no choice but to let him go. After running into the restroom, Tang An immediately made a phone call. "Uncle, We're at the airport with Mom now. This was like a shot in the arm for him, making him ecstatic. Doesn't this damn woman know the consequences of leaving me? At the airport, Gan Yuan was anxiously waiting for Tang and to finish in the restroom, not expecting to be sold out by her own good son again. But just then, she heard a very familiar voice by her ear. That's right, it was Moses. Her nerves instantly tensed up, and she immediately ran away. But things did not take a turn for the better. Seeing them enter the restroom, she thought, oh no, Tang is still inside. What if they ran into each other? But who would have thought that Tang was inside? Trying his best to endure the smell while waiting for Uncle Huangfu's arrival, the phone suddenly rang. An urgent voice came from the other end. Son, Mama's going out to buy something. You stay inside and don't come out. Although Tang also found his mother's actions strange, he was happy to play along, since he was just stalling for time inside anyway. Seeing Moses leave the restroom, Gan Yuan felt as if a heavy burden had been half lifted from her heart. She then quickly hid. But just as the two were about to brush past each other, Moses seemed to sense something. At that moment, Gan Yuan's heart felt like it was about to leap out of her chest. She took the opportunity to flee quickly, but a hand grabbed hers tightly. With a forceful pull from Huangfu Ju, Gan Yuan flew straight into his arms. Huangfu Ju said angrily, "What do you mean, giving me a chance? What do you mean, you'll only be with me if I give up being the heir? You liar." Gan Yuan wanted to say something, but it was obvious their argument had already attracted Moses's attention. So she hugged Huangfu Ju tightly and even took the initiative to kiss his lips. Such a sudden turn of events slightly stunned Lord Ju. Did this woman think a kiss could solve the problem? No way. He then took the opportunity to deepen the kiss, drawing cheers from the crowd of onlookers. Just like that, Gan Yuan escaped this crisis. Moses turned and left. At this moment, Tang peeked his head out. Seeing this romantic scene between his parents, he couldn't help but exclaim, "This is the famous scene for the male and female leads in the movies." That also meant they had made up. But it seemed the situation was more serious than expected. Huangfu Ju was seen dragging Gan Yuan away menacingly. Just as Gan Yuan was about to slip away, she was conquered by Huangfu Ju's actions. He expressed himself in the most forceful way. "Run? I won't let you leave me." Afterward, his attitude did a 180-degree turn, thoughtfully bringing her food and milk. Then he embraced her gently, a look of tenderness and cherish on his face. "I'm sorry. I think I was too impulsive just now, a little out of control." "Oh my God, are all men like this?" Gan Yuan pushed him away forcefully. Seeing this, Huangfu Ju became even more excited. "We're an old married couple, and you're still so disgusted with me." After speaking, he started getting handsy, scaring Gan Yuan into quickly shouting, "I'm hungry." Gan Yuan escaped this ordeal and began to eat slowly, but her thoughts had already drifted far away. Did Moses come looking for me? If he finds out that not only am I still alive, but I've also betrayed him, am with Huangfu Ju, and even have Tang in, he will definitely kill us. Thinking of this, a strong urge to leave this place immediately rose in Gan Yuan's heart. However, she also felt a great attachment to the man behind her and couldn't help but hesitate. Then Gan Yuan suddenly hugged Huangfu Ju tightly. "Take me and my son away. Anywhere is fine, as long as we leave here." Although Huangfu Ju was slightly stunned, his intuition told him that something must have happened. After some questioning, Gan Yuan hesitated. "I've liked you for 6 years, but my status doesn't match yours." This sudden confession stunned Huangfu Ju. "I asked this why you left without saying goodbye 6 years ago." Gan Yuan didn't dare to look him in the eye. Although it wasn't the whole reason, it was indeed one of the reasons she did it. Upon getting Gan Yuan's answer, Huangfu Ju was overjoyed. He immediately stated that he had already talked to his brother about inheriting the throne, as he didn't want Gan Yuan to leave him because of these worldly things. But at this moment, Gan Yuan refused to give in. She hurriedly shouted, "You can't do that. Didn't you say you wanted to make your country better with no poverty and no war? How can you give up on your dream?" As soon as she said these words, Huangfu Ju was also stunned. "How did you know that?" This was clearly from his speech when he was officially named Crown Prince 3 years ago. Being asked so suddenly, Gan Yuan immediately felt embarrassed. She had accidentally exposed herself. It turned out that for the past 6 years, she hadn't missed a single. News report related to Huang Fuju. At this moment, the joy in Huang Fuju's heart far surpassed the joy of being loved by millions that will return to the country tomorrow. I have to take you and Tang and to meet my parents. While Gan Yuan was taking a shower, a group of men snuck into her room. Then came the sound of footsteps. Moses walked into Gan Yuan's room. He looked around. The room was clean. Habits never change. Then he walked into her bedroom. A large, thick photo album caught Moses' attention. He casually flipped it open, and a photo of Tang and at age 5 suddenly appeared before him, instantly reminding him of when Moses was 11. It should have been the brightest time of his childhood. But just because of his sharp gaze, all the other children avoided him. Only Gan Yuan was not only unafraid of him, but also took the initiative to hold his hand and affectionately call him brother. At this moment, looking at the photo, Moses couldn't help but murmur, "Only my Gan Yuan is not afraid of me." Just then, his subordinate began to report to him about Gan Yuan's situation in recent years. The place where Miss Gan Yuan worked the longest was at the Dynasty Hotel. During that time, she became very close with a man named Chao Yang. This person often appeared downstairs at Miss Gan Yuan's apartment. Moses's brow furrowed deeply. Chao Yang, hee, how interesting. Meanwhile, Chao Yang, who had been waiting outside the apartment building for a while, also spotted Moses. He kept calling Gan Yuan, but Gan Yuan was in the shower and couldn't hear the phone ringing at all. It wasn't until there were 99 missed calls that Gan Yuan slowly answered the phone. "Chao Yang, why are you calling me so many times?" Hearing her voice, he was thrilled and hurriedly recounted the situation here, even volunteering to follow them to investigate. After listening, Gan Yuan's blood ran cold, and she shouted at Xiao Liang not to act alone. But she only heard the busy tone from the other end of the line. Over here, Xiao Liang had already been tailing them for a long way. He had no idea he had been discovered long ago. As for Moses, he was still calmly looking at Gan Yuan's photos while demanding all of Chao Liang's information. His hand kept stroking her photo, and then he said casually, since he's a friend, he must know a lot about Gan Yuan. They soon arrived at a desolate and remote place. It seemed Chao Liang also sensed something. He was about to call Gan Yuan, but just as the call connected, a loud thud was suddenly heard. Chao Liang had fainted in a pool of blood. Moses walked up and happened to see that the call had connected. The person on the other end was anxiously calling Chao Liang's name, but the voice that answered was, "It's Gan Yuan." In the room, Moses was slowly observing the mobile tracking system, secretly pleased. "Gan Yuan, I've been waiting for you for a long time." He then ordered his men to beat Chao Liang. Chao Liang was already paralyzed on the ground. It was obvious Moses had no intention of letting him go. "Brother Chao, if you want to live, I advise you to honestly confess everything about Gan Yuan from the past few years." At this moment, Chao Liang's face was covered in sweat. Who is Gan Yuan? He was already telling the truth, but Moses thought he was still playing tough, so he was beaten viciously again. The beating continued until Chao Liang passed out, after which he ordered his men to lock him up. At this time, Moses also noticed an anomaly with the tracking signal. Instead of getting closer, it was moving farther away. He immediately became excited that it seems Gan Yuan wants to play a game with us. Little did he know, Gan Yuan had already snuck into the place. Suddenly, a bright light flashed. Then with a thud, a man in black passed out. She then helped Xiao Liang up and ran desperately outside. At this moment, Moses in the room was watching the two departing figures. He then looked at the tracker tied to a pig's back and couldn't help but exclaim, "My Gan Yuan is still so clever." In the forest, Chao Liang was taking difficult steps with Gan Yuan's help. Chao Liang stared at the woman before him. She seemed like someone he had never known. Completely unfamiliar, not to mention that Gan Yuan knew such a madman. Even so, under his torture, he hadn't said a single word. Now, facing Chao Liang, Gan Yuan's heart and eyes were filled with only guilt and gratitude. Just then, gunshots rang out in the distance. The people behind them were getting anxious. Gan Yuan immediately shielded Xiao Liang behind her. Before they could react, that familiar face appeared before them. "Don't hurt Gan Yuan." It seemed the two of them had nowhere to run. A screech of tires was heard. "Get in the car." Chu Xinxing's face appeared before the two. Seeing this, Gan Yuan pushed Chao Liang into the car and instructed, "Hurry, take him away." Chu Xinxing didn't understand. "But aren't you leaving?" Gan Yuan turned around coldly and said, "If I get in the car, neither of you will be able to escape." At this moment, Moses was gazing at Gan Yuan with tender eyes. 2460 days. "Miss, you've been away for too long." Gan Yuan, this man's love was so insane, with such possessiveness and a desire for control. He didn't allow any friends to get close to Gan Yuan. In his eyes, no one was worthy of his Gan Yuan. Moses looked at Gan Yuan affectionately. He leisurely lifted her chin, a gesture that could easily make one fall for him. Suddenly, with a whoosh, a sharp dagger slashed across Moses' neck. Instantly, blood gushed out. The bodyguards were in a panic, their faces contorted. But Moses wasn't angry at all. The corners of his mouth lifted, and he extended his hand, refusing to back down. Gan Yuan wanted to escape from Moses, so she tried her best to take out the bodyguards. But in the end, she couldn't fight so many people alone. Feeling that the probability of breaking through the encirclement was low, she pretended to surrender and immediately agreed to go with them. As they were about to leave the forest, Gan Yuan became anxious. If she was really taken away by them, escaping would be even harder, and she didn't want to break her promise to Huang Fuju again. Meanwhile, Huang Fuju was frowning deeply. He looked at the note Gan Yuan had left. "I'm going to handle some private matters. You and Tang and go to the airport first. I won't be late." He felt uneasy, but he wanted to trust Gan Yuan more. He took Tang into the airport to wait. On the other side, Gan Yuan was extremely anxious and couldn't care about anything else. She fired a shot at Moses. While the bodyguards were in a panic, she ran like the wind. A group of men in black chased her frantically. Gan Yuan also used her agile body to constantly change routes, making the bodyguards dizzy as they changed directions. It was this commotion that attracted the attention of nearby patrolling police, scaring the men in black into standing there, stunned. Gan Yuan also took this opportunity to escape successfully. Over here, Huang Fuju and Tang were waiting together. "The plane is about to take off, young master, but you still want to keep waiting. Are you sure Miss Gan Yuan won't break her promise?" William, standing beside him, was already extremely anxious. If they didn't leave now, they would miss an important meeting. Tomorrow morning. Just then, a bright and cheerful voice rang out, sweet and pleasant. Looking up, Gan Yuan was running over in an elegant outfit. On the plane, Gan Yuan, who had been in an intense struggle all night, kept yawning. Huang Fuju saw this and took it to heart. He extended his arm to embrace her, letting her rest her head on his shoulder for a good sleep. They soon arrived at a manor in the capital. A group of servants was already waiting respectfully. Huang Fuju looked into the distance. That's the royal palace over there. We will live there in the future. The crown prince had waited for 6 years and overcome countless difficulties to finally win the beauty's heart. He had originally planned to return to the country quietly, without any public announcement, as per Gan Yuan's request, who knew that as soon as he returned, a call came from the royal palace. Huang Fuju helplessly settled the mother and son. Then he turned and left. At this moment, Gan Yuan was lost in thought. She was originally an ordinary person and had never dreamed of such a life. But perhaps this was the best way to escape from Moses and protect her 3 children for now. Just then, the butler walked over with a smile. "Allow me to introduce 2 lovely and virtuous ladies." It turned out they were tutors hired by Huang Fuju. Not just these 2, but many more, including teachers for Tang in foreign languages, literature, equestrianism, and wrestling. Hearing this, Tang broke out in a cold sweat. This guy's efficiency was really high. Was he trying to raise Tang and as a future king? She helplessly recalled Huang Fuju's polite smile. Meanwhile, Huang Fuju entered the palace with an uneasy heart. In fact, he was also scared, afraid that his parents would object because of Gan Yuan's commoner status. But he never expected that his peerless mother not only didn't object, but also wanted to meet Gan Yuan and her child. At the same time, she had prepared a series of extremely luxurious gifts for their first meeting. This unexpected turn of events flustered Huang Fuju. He grabbed the pile of gifts and fled in a hurry. Watching Huang Fuju's departing figure, the queen's smile gradually faded, and a sharp glint flashed in her eyes. What kind of person is this Gan Yuan, that even I cannot grant her a status? In a manor in the suburbs, Huang Fuju's sudden appearance startled Gan Yuan. Huang Fuju said nothing and pulled her to the main hall. He excitedly showed her the gifts he had brought back. "These are gifts from my mother for you and Tang, At this moment, she was slightly stunned, but after coming to her senses, Gan Yuan couldn't be happy. Didn't you promise me we wouldn't go public? Seeing her angrily preparing to return to the set, Huang Fuju immediately hugged her tightly, and why parents don't object to us being together, so they don't mind that you're a commoner. This was supposed to be good news, but she felt troubled in her heart because she was not an ordinary person. Immersed in happiness, Huang Fuju suddenly dropped even bigger news. Xiao Yuan, Mom said she wants to meet you in Shaoan. Girls should never believe a man when he says he can sleep alone, or this will be the result. When Gan Yuan woke up, she was covered in a bunch of hickeys. Seeing the message left by Huang Fuju, she felt incredibly happy. However, a noisy sound from outside caught her attention. She saw Anan riding a small pony, galloping happily on its back. Seeing his mommy arrive, the boy was even happier to show off his pony. Mommy, Uncle Huangfu gave this to me. I named it Wind. It will grow up with me. Nay, the sound of a horse panting grew closer, instantly making everyone's jaw drop. A horse was seen charging madly. To protect Tang and Gan Yuan, the bodyguards immediately fired at the white horse. Unexpectedly, the loud noise startled the pony Tang Tang was holding. The frightened pony ran off wildly, and Tang Tang, caught by the reins, was dragged along with it. To prevent Tang Tang from being dragged away, Tang Yining used all her strength to push the boy onto the horse's back. She quickly shouted, Tang Tang, don't be afraid. Hold on to the reins. Mommy is coming to save you right now. The frightened horse ran faster and faster. It ran further and further away. Seeing this, the crowd prepared to shoot the white horse, but just then, a sharp rebuke came from a distance. Don't shoot. I'd like to see who dares to disrespect my horse. The bodyguards instantly backed down, but Gan Yuan paid them no mind. She picked up a stone and threw it with all her might. With a whoosh, it hit the horse's hoof. The horse stopped, but due to the sharp pain, the white horse reared up. Seeing the danger approaching Tang Tang, Gan Yuan leaped forward to hug the boy, while not forgetting to fiercely stab the damned horse. Tang Tang was saved, and the horse fell heavily to the ground. The approaching woman's expression was not good at all. Her face was twitching with anger. How dare you harm it? I am Nancy, the most favored daughter of Duke Locke's family, to be ignored by this woman today. Then, she snatched a whip from a servant's hand and lashed out with it. How could Gan Yuan let her succeed? She tightly gripped the long whip and said angrily, so what if your horse is injured? Even if 10,000 such horses were hurt, it wouldn't compare to a single hair on my son's head. Then, ignoring Nancy's fury, she turned and left. However, a girl followed closely behind, sincerely apologizing for Nancy's actions. It was just that this pretty face made Gan Yuan's pupils shrink. It looked so familiar. She had never seen such a direct girl, who would push open the bathroom door while a man was showering. The scene instantly left her stunned. Huang Fuju fanned the flames, trapping her directly in his arms and saying in a low voice, if you want me, you don't have to use such a complicated method. Gan Yuan looked helpless. Lord Ju, you're overthinking it. That's not what I meant at all. The interest that had been piqued in Huang Fuju was instantly extinguished. Then why did you deliberately break my curtains and barge into my bathroom? At this moment, Gan Yuan started to feel guilty, her mind racing to find a reasonable excuse. Then, she immediately put on a cute expression, because I was a little scared. Huang Fuju didn't believe this answer. This woman wasn't even afraid of a blizzard, so this reason was definitely not convincing enough. But unexpectedly, all of this was because of a discovery Gan Yuan had made. During the day, as she was walking alone, a flash of light caught her eye. She looked over and found that the light was coming from the distant forest. Out of an instinct for vigilance, she went to investigate and not only found a still warm cigarette, there was also a fresh footprint. It was obvious that someone had been lying in wait here. The most suspicious thing was that this spot was about 1,000 meters from the manor's main building, and the angle was aimed directly at the window of Huang Fuju's master bedroom. Clearly, someone was plotting something against Huang Fuju. Therefore, Gan Yuan pretended to be a petite and lovely wife, waiting for Huang Fuju to return. As soon as she saw him, she greeted him enthusiastically, putting on the air of a virtuous wife and good mother. I accidentally broke the curtains in the master bedroom. Can you switch bedrooms today? Or maybe choose the room next to mine? It's very quiet there and good for your sleep. On the surface, Huang Fuju agreed, but secretly he was very pleased. He knew the curtains couldn't have been damaged unless they were cut with a knife. So he immediately prepared to take a shower, not forgetting to ask Gan Yuan to fetch his clothes. But when she came over with the clothes, no matter how she called out, he didn't answer, and the room was unusually quiet. A bad premonition flashed through her mind, so she pushed the door open with a bang, which led to the scene from the beginning. Well, how could Huang Fuju pass up such an opportunity? No matter her reasons, the end result was the same. One second, he said he wasn't angry. The next, he was making her compensate him, starting from tonight. Perhaps last night's compensation was too generous, as Huang Fuju overslept for the first time. He immediately got up and walked elegantly to the dining room. However, the strange atmosphere made him uneasy. He saw everyone standing in place, sweating profusely, their faces ashen, but Gan Yuan was nowhere to be seen. A series of questions followed. Uncle Huangfu, Mommy is in the kitchen. Mommy won't let us in. A loud bang nearly scared the souls out of everyone. Everyone couldn't help but sigh. It seemed there was no hope for breakfast today. This was immediately followed by a thick, pungent black smoke. Huang Fuju cautiously entered the kitchen, only to see a woman working frantically like a mad person. Gan Yuan kept adding oil to the pan, muttering defiantly, "I refuse to believe I can't even cook a fried egg." But the surprise was particularly startling. With a bang, cooking oil splattered everywhere. He quickly pulled her into his arms to protect her from getting hurt. At that moment, a pile of burnt fried eggs came into Huang Fuju's view. His eyes filled with happiness. "She's making breakfast for me." Perhaps dazed by happiness, the king-like man actually picked up the plate of misshapen eggs and prepared to eat, completely ignoring the astonished gazes around him. After finishing, he even praised it for having a very special taste, his face glowing with starlight-like happiness, making Tang Tang exclaim, "Mommy in love is really not normal at all." Before leaving, they even exchanged a sweet kiss, showing off their affection everywhere. How are single people supposed to live? After seeing Huang Fuju off, Gan Yuan also entered a state of high alert. She would never allow anyone to do anything against Huang Fuju. She had to find the person hiding here. At this time, a dinner invitation from the Duke caught her attention. Although she deeply disliked such conspicuous places, they were the best venues for gathering information. Therefore, Tang Yining elegantly entered the banquet. The party was bustling with people, right? These were all high society figures from country A. Some clues could always be found here. Just then, a man in a very flamboyant suit walked towards Tang Yining with a smile. And she was very familiar with this man. He was Eben Robert, the playboy of the Robert family. She had risked coming to this banquet to investigate the person who had been threatening Huang Fuju. Since this playboy had approached her on his own initiative, she might as well test him first. Tang Yining gave a charming smile and carefully steered the conversation towards the royal family. But Eben mistakenly thought she wanted to meet someone from the royal family. He volunteered, saying he could take Tang Yining as his date to a royal banquet in a few days. Hearing this, she feigned surprise. "Really? But I heard the palace isn't very safe. There are rumors that the prince was even attacked." However, Eben put on an "I know everything" expression, as if he had just heard some great drama. This proved he knew nothing about Huang Fuju's attack, just as she was about to switch targets and continue probing. A harsh voice came through. "Mr. Eben, you'd better stay away from this woman. She might stab you in the leg with a dagger at any moment." Tang Yining looked towards the source of the voice. It was the arrogant and domineering Miss Nancy, who hated her to the bone because Tang Yining had injured her beloved horse yesterday. As soon as she faced Tang Yining, she began a barrage of taunts and provocations. Tang Yining just replied coldly, "Even though you clearly hate me enough to want to kill me, you don't dare to do anything. Is that so?" Then, ignoring her anger, she walked towards her next target. Then, in the reception room, Tang Yining heard a familiar voice again. That's right, it was Moses. She quickly hid, thinking, what is he doing here? Could he be looking for me? But given the situation in country A and his personality, I'm afraid his purpose isn't that simple. Seeing that Moses was about to leave, a damned voice came from a distance. "Nancy, have you seen where Tang Yining is?" Moses immediately stopped in his tracks. Meanwhile, Eben, completely unaware, was still chattering on about Tang Yining. Halfway through his sentence, he was suddenly lifted up. "Where is Tang Yining?" At this moment, Eben was scared out of his wits. In response to Moses' question, he confessed everything he knew. Learning that Tang Yining was also at the party, he ordered his men to find her at all costs. The Duke kindly reminded him, Tang Yining is the crown prince's person. But Moses just sneered dismissively, a cold glint flashing in his eyes, full of determination. Find her for me. His men began to search, while Tang Yining was desperately trying to escape. She knew very well that no matter why Moses came to Country A, she could not let him catch her. However, the slender figure in the darkness was eventually spotted by Moses. At the critical moment, Tang Yining rushed into a car just in time. A few steps from the car stood a pensive Moses. At this moment, Tian Xiaoying walked up. This seemingly harmless woman was not as kind as she appeared. She saw through Moses' intentions and took the initiative to ask, Mr. Moses, if you're looking for Tang Yining. I think I can help you. Moses frowned at it. Seems Miss Tian Xiaoying can arrange a meeting for me and Ganyuan. We'll hit it off soon. On the other side, Huang Fuju was racking his brains over the Red Flame organization that had been trying to assassinate him. They were extremely vicious and would not give up easily once they locked onto a target. William suggested that Huang Fuju return to the palace for safety, but Huang Fuju felt that was absolutely impossible. If those people were targeting him, then Ganyuan and her child would become tools for them to use by any means necessary. Therefore, he couldn't wait any longer. He had to get married immediately. He then ordered William to prepare a press conference for the next morning. He was going to announce to the world that he would give Ganyuan a legal status so they could live with him in the palace. At this moment, he completely disregarded the opinions of the king and queen and didn't even care if Ganyuan agreed. He just wanted Ganyuan to be safely by his side. At the same time, he ordered William to find the best gemstone before tomorrow morning. He had to come up with the best proposal plan. William wanted to say more, but seeing the fiery aura around him, he figured it was better to run first. As for Huang Fuju himself, he spent the whole night designing a one-of-a-kind ring for Ganyuan. Looking at the sleeping beauty before him, a warmth filled his heart. He wanted to give her the best in the world. Just then, a hand kept pulling at him. Back then, she had endured the heart-wrenching pain. As he wished, this flower of sin was tattooed on her. Why did he have to force her so stubbornly? She had thought that by coming to Country A, he wouldn't find her easily, but seeing Miss Moses outside the window, Ganyuan's little heart began to worry. Just then, a call came from Tian Xiaoying. Hello, Ganyuan. Nancy was disrespectful to you earlier. My father would like to apologize, so he wants to invite you to lunch. At this point, Ganyuan seemed to understand something. The reason Moses knew where she was but hadn't made a move was probably because he was somewhat wary of Huang Fuju's status. Otherwise, with his personality, he would have come looking for her last night. Today's appointment was probably also related to Moses. Could Huang Fuju's assassination attempt be related to Duke Locke? With this suspicion, Ganyuan boldly went to the appointment. Accompanied by Tian Xiaoying, the two toured the Duke's garden together. Listening to Tian Xiaoying's confident words, the girl in front of her always gave her a very familiar feeling. Ganyuan was sure she had seen her somewhere before. Then, lunch began. Through the Duke's insincere pleasantries, Moses made a grand entrance. I told you we'd meet again soon. Ganyuan ignored Moses' enthusiasm and mocked his clumsy pickup lines. To pretend they didn't know each other in front of everyone, Moses had no choice but to respond quickly. He lamented that Ganyuan looked so much like his Yuaner. He looked at Ganyuan with an extremely gentle gaze, yet complained that his Yuaner had angrily left home for 6 years and still hadn't opened the birthday gift he had prepared for her. He then used this as an excuse to ask Ganyuan to have a drink with him. Knowing she couldn't avoid it, Ganyuan reluctantly agreed. But the servant pouring the wine had the eyes of a killer. It seemed this glass of wine was not to be drunk. So, with a flick of her finger, all the wine in the servant's hand was spilled. Ganyuan, she used this as an excuse to leave her seat, but unexpectedly, Tian Xiaoying followed her, insisting that she change into her clothes despite Ganyuan's refusal, and pleaded with her not to blame Moses. He was so rude today because Yuaner was very important to him. These words made Ganyuan curious about her relationship with Moses. It seemed they had known each other for some time. Just as she was about to probe for information, a Yuan made Ganyuan turn around abruptly. Huang Fuju had suddenly appeared before her. The moment she saw Huang Fuju, Ganyuan was stunned. How could he be here? Although she had told Tang Tang to call him, if she didn't return in 2 hours. But it was still early. Gan Yuan panicked inwardly. Moses was at the dining table. What would happen if the two of them met? So she immediately went into acting mode that I'm so dizzy. I think I drank a little too much. Can you take me home? This sudden gentleness stunned Huang Fuju. She was pretending to be drunk again. Did something happen? Although he did have matters to discuss with the Duke, Huang Fuju could never refuse Gan Yuan's request. He took Gan Yuan into his arms and left. The two got into the car and headed back. Along the way, Gan Yuan hid in Huang Fuju's arms like a little girl, occasionally whispering sweet nothings that captured Huang Fuju's heart. Well, you still have to work this afternoon. There are still some documents to handle. Is something wrong? No, I just want to spend more time with you. What did this mean? Huang Fuju was immediately overjoyed. He said that from now until tomorrow morning, he was all hers. Gan Yuan's eyes lit up and she began to plan her next act. Back home, Gan Yuan pushed Huang Fuju to the table. You sit here and wait for me. Don't move. Huang Fuju waited quietly. 15 minutes later, Gan Yuan came out wearing an evening gown, holding a candelabra. At this moment, Gan Yuan didn't care if it was day or night. She just wanted to do what she wanted with Huang Fuju, like going to the seaside to feel the breeze like a normal couple. Go shopping, watch a movie. But it was obvious that these things were impossible. Not to mention the assassins lurking everywhere. Just the status alone made it impossible to go to those places freely like a normal couple. So why not get drunk today? Even if it meant drinking from now until tomorrow morning. But the wine in her hand caught Gan Yuan's attention. There are only 5 bottles, no more. At this moment, Huang Fuju was very proud. This is a Jew's work. A Jew. Gan Yuan's mouth fell open in surprise. She never expected that Huang Fuju had actually fulfilled a joke from 6 years ago, and that he had brewed it himself. A surge of emotion welled up in Gan Yuan's heart. With every clink of their glasses, Gan Yuan couldn't help but wrap her arms around the man before her. Why, dear Duke, can you pour me another glass? She had unintentionally gotten drunk, yet she wanted to devour him whole. She spoke sweet nothings that intoxicated Huang Fuju. He immediately took the lead. But such a steamy scene was witnessed by Tang Tang, who had come for a meal. Just as he was about to shout, "Mommy, Uncle Huang Fu," but his mouth was covered by a large hand. William picked up Tang Tang and ran. If he ruined his boss's good time, he would be in deep trouble. But a sudden sent a chill down William's spine. Tong Tong's eyes also widened as he exclaimed in surprise, "That sounds like Mommy screaming." Tang Tang thought they were fighting again and wanted to rush over. By now, William was already red-faced from their sounds, so he didn't care anymore and dragged Tang Tang outside. At this moment, the air around Gan Yuan and Huang Fuju was filled with the scent of love. Gan Yuan finally confessed her feelings that "I love you. I love you. I love you so much, more than you know. Since I love you so much, you're not allowed to run away again. Just be my Duchess obediently." Romantic nights are always too short. The next morning, Judy delivered the engagement ring personally designed by Huang Fuju. He then instructed William to make preparations. Just then, Tang Tang walked over with a worried look. "Uncle Huang Fu, did Mommy's shoulder hurt again on the terrace last night?" Mommy was screaming so loudly. At this moment, Huang Fuju was both surprised and embarrassed. How could her shoulder hurt? The unknowing Tang Tang said seriously, "Mommy's shoulder always hurts on damp, rainy days. The doctor said it's an old injury." Huang Fuju took note of this. While comforting Tang Tang, he didn't forget to sow discord. This way, Uncle can take better care of Mommy in the future. So if there's anything wrong with Mommy, you must tell Uncle right away. He played this move so well, getting straight to the point without any effort. Huang Fuju looked at the sleeping Gan Yuan, unable to help but wonder what the reason was. He subconsciously reached out to touch her, only to be startled by a powerful elbow strike. This way of saying good morning was truly unique. Gan Yuan felt very awkward after seeing who it was. Huang Fuju asked with concern if she had a nightmare again. Gan Yuan was too embarrassed to speak for a moment, then changed the subject, asking if the dress for the press conference was made by him. The moment she said it, Huang Fuju was stunned, certain that Gan Yuan had touched his things. But Gan Yuan just smiled charmingly. "I did. What are you going to do about it?" Huang Fuju's originally gloomy face immediately bloomed into a smile. As the two flirted, Gan Yuan's hand touched something a bit hard. A prince coveted by thousands was like a teenager in love, practicing over and over again. "Marry me, Gan Yuan." Isn't this tone too commanding? Will you marry me? Gan Yuan? It feels a bit distant to call her Gan Yuan. But an ill-timed phone call interrupted him. Huang Fuju was instantly furious, almost punching the person who dared to call. His angry heart finally calmed down after learning that everything was ready. The highlight of his life was about to unfold. On the other side, Gan Yuan, coming out of the bathroom, saw the dress Huang Fuju had carefully prepared for her. This dress is so beautiful. I haven't worn such a brightly colored dress in 6 years. Well, I'll make an exception for him today. The moment she walked out, it was like entering a garden. Gan Yuan was stunned. The handsome and composed Huang Fuju opposite her was looking at her with a serious expression. She quickly asked, "Am I not beautiful?" "No, you are very beautiful." Then Gan Yuan looked around, wondering if there were guests. But before she could finish her sentence, Huang Fuju was already preparing to kneel on one knee. At that moment, Gan Yuan suddenly realized he was going to propose, so she quickly stopped Huang Fuju's next move and hurriedly said, "You don't know me well enough yet." But these words made Huang Fuju's heart tighten. Could it be that she was unwilling? Gan Yuan quickly denied it. She wasn't sure if Huang Fuju would still love her as he did now after knowing her true identity. Therefore, she could only use Huang Fuju's status as a prince as an excuse. She said she was just an ordinary person and not perfect. But Huang Fuju was incredibly certain at this moment. "Gan Yuan, it's enough that we love each other. I'm marrying a wife, not an angel." But Gan Yuan was afraid of more than just that. A Jew. Once I accept this ring, it's very likely to bring you disaster. You might even lose your throne because of it. Don't you care? Huang Fuju held Gan Yuan tightly. "I care, but I care more about you and Tang Dang." Then, regardless of Gan Yuan's objections, he forcibly put the ring on her hand. At this moment, Gan Yuan was immersed in emotion. This man was willing to bet everything for her, so how could she not dare to take a gamble? Then she poured out her heart. "A Jew. I want to be by your side. I will cherish it like my life." Accompanied by the cheers of the crowd, the two embraced and were lost in the moment. But just then, someone from Duke Locke's residence arrived. Duke Locke's residence has sent an invitation for the young lady. Nancy was inviting Gan Yuan to co-host this year's Royal Polo match. This put Gan Yuan in a difficult position, as she didn't know how to play polo. Seeing Gan Yuan's predicament, the messenger quickly explained, "It's not an invitation for Miss Gan Yuan to play polo, but to serve as a consultant for the match." Huang Fuju also quickly said, "If you're not interested, you don't have to go." But Gan Yuan didn't want to give up just like that. She wanted to see what tricks Nancy was up to. Besides, if she had already accepted Huang Fuju's proposal, then these kinds of interactions would be unavoidable in the future. She had to get used to it. If she couldn't even handle this, how could she be Huang Fuju's woman? Escorted by Huang Fuju, she went to the match venue. Huang Fuju, dressed in a suit, exuded a powerful aura. The reason he brought Gan Yuan was to show her off, to back up his beloved woman, and to make those who wanted to bully her think twice. But once a woman's jealousy is ignited, she fears nothing. Nancy had a secret crush on Huang Fuju, and her purpose in inviting Gan Yuan was to humiliate her. Therefore, she invited Gan Yuan, but deliberately didn't leave a seat for her. Just as the two were in an awkward situation, the playboy Eben happened to appear. He pulled Gan Yuan to sit in his seat, and the two chatted happily, making Nancy, who was standing aside, burn with anger. But that wasn't all. Nancy feigned an invitation for Gan Yuan to give a speech as a guest. She said with a smile, "It's very simple, just read from the script." Gan Yuan had no choice but to accept. Gan Yuan slowly walked up to the podium and read from the script. But the following content made her eyes widen. Why was it all in French and Latin? As she paused, Nancy, standing beside her, couldn't hide the joy in her heart. "Gan Yuan, you're just a hotel manager, yet you dare to steal my man. Today, I'll make you utterly humiliated." But she didn't know that these things were a piece of cake for Gan Yuan. For Gan Yuan, not only did she handle it with ease, but she also expressed her amazement. The reason she paused was out of surprise that the youngest member of the royal team was only 19 years old. Clearly, Gan Yuan had won this round completely. But how could Nancy give up so easily? Under the pretext of congratulating the team, she brought out the prepared wine. Gan Yuan only took a light sip at her lips and stopped. Seeing this, Nancy quickly urged her on. But Gan Yuan pretended to be surprised and pointed behind her. While Nancy turned her head, Tian Xiuying switched the wine glasses. Then she smiled and said, Ah, it seems I was mistaken. She had only drunk 1 glass of wine, and her body immediately became hot and weak. Seeing this, Nancy was secretly delighted. Not even a god can save you this time. Then she feigned a suggestion for Gan Yuan to rest in the less crowded VIP lounge, not forgetting to call the playboy Eben over to help. Halfway there, Nancy feigned concern and asked about Gan Yuan's condition. Gan Yuan played along. I'm fine. I just feel hot all over. It was probably too hot on the stage just now. At this moment, Nancy also suddenly felt hot. Could it really be that it was too hot on the stage? But why is my heart beating so fast and my mouth is a bit dry? As Gan Yuan's lips curved into a smile, Nancy collapsed to the ground. Just then, Eben also rushed over. He asked in surprise, "What's wrong with Nancy? Is she not feeling well?" Gan Yuan pretended to be very worried. "Eben, you should help her to the lounge first." As Eben helped Nancy up, Gan Yuan lied that she was going to get a doctor. Fleeing frantically in the lounge, Nancy, flushed and feverish, saw Eben before her and threw herself into his arms. Her eyes were glazed over as she murmured Huang Fuju's name, and this sudden intimate act startled Eben. Nancy recklessly made a move on him. He thought the show was about to begin, but instead, Nancy was pushed away. With a look of disgust, Eben said, "If it were in the past, I wouldn't mind playing along with you, but you're treating me as someone else's substitute." After speaking, he turned and left, leaving the unsatisfied Nancy to struggle alone. Just then, Gan Yuan arrived with a group of people, just in time to run into the departing Eben. She feigned some concern, but when they entered the room, the scene before them left them stunned again. Nancy's clothes were in disarray, and she was pulling at the curtains, beginning to pleasure herself while letting out sounds of enjoyment. The crowd that had come to watch the spectacle was instantly in an uproar. At this moment, Gan Yuan panicked, quickly wrapping Nancy in a curtain and telling people to rush her to the hospital. Gan Yuan never imagined the drug in Nancy's cup would be so potent. "If I had been the one to drink it, I would be the one humiliated now." Just then, the sound of crisp applause came from behind her. "Why, dear Gan Yuan, your way of handling things has never disappointed me." Moses watched Gan Yuan's departing figure, 1,000 thoughts racing through his mind. Gan Yuan was never interested in polo. What could have changed her in these past 6 years? Could it be the man by her side? He couldn't help but frown. In the hospital corridor, 2 bodyguards were on high alert, listening for any disturbance, when a woman asking about Nancy caught their attention. Seeing this, the long-haired man hurried after her. "Excuse me, are you looking for Miss Nancy?" "Yes, I'm looking for her." As soon as the words left her mouth, she fainted. After an unknown amount of time, she was splashed awake by a cup of water, and the person who suddenly appeared before her was none other than Moses. His brows were tightly furrowed as he asked in a low voice, "Did you put the drug in the drink, or was it Nancy's idea?" She had intended to take a gamble, but was scared into trembling by the gun on the sofa before her. She hurriedly answered Moses's question. It was Nancy. It was her. But as soon as she finished speaking, she saw Moses wave his hand, drag her out, and dispose of her. A powerful and ruthless aura instantly enveloped his handsome face. "In this world, no one can bully my girl except for me." After saying this, he turned and walked towards the hospital. In a villa in the suburbs, a family of 3 was happily eating dinner. "Xiao Yuan, what kind of wedding do you like?" This sudden question caught Gan Yuan off guard. I've come this far with Huang Fuju. I'm already very content. How could I dare to hope for any kind of wedding? She honestly said that anything was fine, but this answer made Huang Fuju very unhappy. Gan Yuan instantly realized she had said the wrong thing and hurried to explain. She didn't care about the formalities as long as they were together. This sight of her carefully apologizing made Gan Tang, who was at the side, very happy, and this answer was also precisely what satisfied Huang Fuju. But just then, William burst in frantically, "Sir, it's terrible. Miss Nancy is dead." This explosive news left them both stunned. Huang Fuju hurriedly asked for the cause. She committed suicide by slitting her wrists in the hospital bathroom. Suicide? Would Nancy really commit suicide? The image of Moses suddenly appeared in Gan Yuan's mind. Could he have done it? Gan Yuan was deeply suspicious of Nancy's suicide. She was the only daughter of Duke Locke, the sole heir to the dukedom, normally arrogant and domineering. How could she kill herself over such a small matter? At this moment, Moses became Gan Yuan's prime suspect. She knew very well that once Moses found out Nancy had tried to drug her, he would definitely take action. At the same time, Moses heard the news of Nancy's suicide as soon as he arrived at the hospital. His thoughts were surprisingly identical to Gan Yuan's. Yuan's. He was certain that this matter was not as simple as it appeared. So, he sent his men to investigate the hospital room. Sure enough, Moses discovered very obvious scratches on the bathroom doorknob. Moreover, there were very clear footprints on the balcony. All of this was enough to prove that Nancy did not commit suicide. Someone had killed her in the bathroom and staged it to look like a suicide. But these footprints were very slender. Judging by their shape, they were likely a woman's. Moses's brows furrowed. Could Gan Yuan be behind this? He then ordered his men to wipe away the footprints. He would never allow his Gan Yuan to fall under suspicion. But then, the bizarre death of another woman made Gan Yuan even more certain that Moses was pulling the strings. This woman was Jenny, Nancy's best friend before she died. The two had always been inseparable. Gan Yuan was terrified, afraid that Moses would do something to harm Huang Fuju, so she decided she must attend Nancy's funeral with Huang Fuju today. Soon, the two arrived at the scene, and their appearance caused quite a stir. But what people noticed even more was the huge diamond ring on Gan Yuan's hand. People began to whisper, is the prince really going to marry this woman? But unexpectedly, not far away, a hand was viciously snapping a flower stem. Moses's eyes were filled with killing intent. He looked at Huang Fuju. Want to get married? Not a chance. As soon as Huang Fuju left, Huang Fuqi appeared before Gan Yuan. Hello, my dear sister-in-law. Should I call you Gan Yuan or Jerry? She immediately tensed up, a sense of unease washing over her. She feigned composure, saying she didn't understand what he meant, but her heart was already pounding with anxiety. Seeing that Gan Yuan had no intention of admitting it, Huang Fuqi directly handed her a file. When Gan Yuan saw her own photo inside the file, she understood everything without needing further explanation. She hoped Huang Fuqi would give these documents directly to Huang Fuju. Huang Fuqi kindly reminded Gan Yuan, my brother really hates being lied to. How could Gan Yuan not know? It was just that she never had the courage to face him and tell him these things. She was afraid of the disgusted look in Huang Fuju's eyes after he learned the truth, afraid he would hate her for it, and even more afraid he would stop loving her because of it. At this thought, Gan Yuan's hands couldn't help but tremble. Hearing this, Huang Fuqi was very surprised. The woman before him was truly special. But he had to admit, on some level, he really admired her. Moreover, with her beauty and talent, she and his brother were indeed a match made in heaven. Thus, he readily accepted Gan Yuan's request, once again acting as a messenger to deliver these documents to his brother. Afterwards, Huang Fuqi revealed a cunning smile. But I'll need a reward. Gan Yuan was stunned to hear this. So princes were this pragmatic too. That evening, Huang Fuju returned to the manor but didn't see Gan Yuan. Just as he was about to call her, William rushed over with an urgent package. Huang Fuju was curious what kind of documents could be so urgent. William looked troubled. It's some documents concerning Miss Gan Yuan. Young Master Qi had them sent over, saying you must see them for yourself. Hearing it was related to Gan Yuan, Huang Fuju's interest was immediately piqued. What could be so mysterious? At this moment, Gan Yuan was standing outside, looking at Huang Fuju's room. Gan Yuan knew he was back. What would his reaction be when he saw those documents? Her boyfriend was about to see her true face. Her heart was pounding. The day I feared most has finally come. Is he angry or is he disappointed? But the next second, she was pulled into a tight embrace. At this moment, Huang Fuju's heart ached as if cut by a knife. He couldn't imagine how much pain Gan Yuan had endured back then. Back then, at the Ten Nations Summit, Gan Yuan had taken an assassin's bullet for him. Huang Fuju looked at her deeply. With an injury like that, how did you leave that place? Gan Yuan couldn't believe it. Not only was he not angry, he was actually concerned about her. At this moment, Gan Yuan could no longer hold back. She buried her head deep in his embrace, telling him everything about her past. Huang Fuju, I'm not a good girl. I've killed many people, but none of this was what Huang Fuju cared about. What he cared about was why Gan Yuan left back then, and why she had been following him all this time. This question stunned Gan Yuan. She still couldn't bring herself to tell him directly that the reason she got close to him was because she had fallen in love with this prince, whose status was worlds apart from her own. And what was even more unexpected was that the assassination mission she had received was to kill Huang Fuju. Gan Yuan instinctively wanted to flee, but was held tightly by Huang Fuju, who had an air of not letting go until he got his answer. Gan Yuan was already in tears. She admitted that she had run away back then, but she was afraid something would happen to Huang Fuju, so she came back. Later, she accidentally discovered she was pregnant. The days that followed were spent on the run with Gan Tang. Perhaps it was a twist of fate that the two met again. Since Huang Fuju had reappeared, Gan Yuan's heart couldn't help but want to get closer to him, even if she was afraid her proximity would bring danger to Huang Fuju, even if she was afraid that all the beautiful things would vanish in a thin air once the truth came out. Even so, Gan Yuan did not stop her steps toward him, simply because Huang Fuju made it impossible for her to refuse. But after learning the truth, Huang Fuju wasn't angry. Instead, he felt even more heartache for Gan Yuan, blaming himself for finding out too late. But as he spoke with tender affection, his face immediately darkened. "You fool, do you have so little faith in me?" At this moment, Gan Yuan was completely stunned. Before she could come to her senses, she was pulled into a tight embrace. He kept saying, "I'm going to punish you. You must stay by my side for the rest of your life. Even if we're in a hail of bullets, I will protect you completely." Gan Yuan couldn't believe any of this was real. She emphasized that she used to be an assassin, but Huang Fuju's reply was incredibly cool. "You once accepted a mission to kill me, but you didn't go through with it in the end, did you?" After speaking, he kissed her tear-streaked face. The two finally opened their hearts to each other, and what awaited them was bound to be a passionate and blissful night. In the end, Huang Fuju still couldn't resist wanting to know the secrets Gan Yuan carried. "I remember you had a tattoo on your waist. How come I can't see it now?" Gan Yuan said, "It's a special potion. It only appears when my blood is pumping." Huang Fuju's interest was immediately piqued. In that case, why don't we?" As he spoke, he eagerly began to take action. Accompanied by the lightning and thunder outside the window, the two held each other tightly. And that flower of sin, with the release of their love, slowly began to emerge. But outside the window, Moses was watching in the shadows. His brows were tightly furrowed, the anger in his heart like a bolt of lightning tearing across the sky. "Mommy." The two were startled awake from their dream. Gan Yuan immediately jumped up and quickly responded, "Mommy's coming." But before she could stand, Huang Fuju pulled her right back down. Seeing that Gan Tang was about to enter the room, Gan Yuan's face turned red with panic. This was clearly a majorly embarrassing scene. But Huang Fuju was unconcerned. Holding Gan Yuan tightly, he said directly, "Xiao Tang, come on in." Gan Tang immediately poked his head in, but it wasn't the shocking scene everyone might have imagined. He politely said, "Good morning, Dad." Huang Fuju's eyes widened in surprise. Gan Tang had actually called him Dad. The next second, Huang Fuju immediately broke into a fatherly smile. "Good morning, son." He was secretly amazed, thinking that a lot must have happened while he was away. It turned out that a few days ago, Gan Tang had accidentally met his grandfather, the king, at the racecourse. The two hit it off immediately and even scheduled a fair game of polo. The next day, unexpectedly, when Gan Tang arrived at the appointed place, it wasn't his grandfather, the king, who appeared, but a majestic and powerful woman. At first, she gave Gan Tang a hard time, asking him how he could freely enter and exit the royal racecourse without a member's badge. How could the clever Gan Tang be stumped by her? He lied, saying he forgot to bring it when he changed his clothes. Unexpectedly, this was just one of her ploys. It wasn't a member's badge, but a genuine royal insignia. Thanks to his cleverness, Gan Tang resolved every challenge she presented and even earned a royal insignia from her. She was the queen of Country A. This meant that Gan Tang had now been fully recognized by the royal family. Moreover, with his intelligence, he had completely won the favor of the king and queen. She was even more eager to welcome Gan Tang into the palace, but Gan Yuan's background still made the two of them hesitate. Because the manor was too far away, Huang Fuju decided that before Gan Yuan officially moved into the palace, he would have the mother and son move into the ducal residence for a while to get familiar with it. Then he decided to make a trip to the palace. He could no longer evade the matter of Gan Yuan. Today, he would face his parents, all to allow his woman to enter the palace with her head held high. Gan Yuan naturally understood the purpose of his trip. She comforted him softly, "Don't argue with them. I don't want you to lose them because of me." In the palace, facing the queen's questioning, which hit every sore spot, Huang Fuju answered cautiously, "I heard you proposed. Such a precious scene must have been beautiful. I'm sorry for not telling you sooner, Mom and Dad, but I feel this is my own business." "It is indeed your business, so you can choose not to tell us." After all, you even have a child now. None of this has anything to do with us, right? Huang Fuju instantly lost his confidence. He could argue his case with his father, but whenever he faced his mother, his innate assertiveness weakened by more than half. He said in a low voice, "I'm sorry." Such simple words were clearly not accepted by his mother. Huang Fuju calmed down, took a deep breath, and seemed to be gathering energy for his next move. He suddenly hugged the queen tightly. "Mom, don't be angry anymore." His handsome face kept nuzzling against her. To achieve his goal, he would truly stop at nothing. The queen then handed him a letter. The moment Huang Fuju opened it, the name Gan Yuan appeared prominently. He couldn't hide his excitement. With this invitation, Gan Yuan could enter the palace legitimately as an honored guest. But things weren't that simple. Next, the queen asked, "Is there nothing else you need to tell me?" Huang Fuju understood the subtext in her words, but Gan Yuan's true identity couldn't be revealed for now. His parents wouldn't mind him marrying a commoner, but they would absolutely not want him to marry the person who killed the president of country E. But what he didn't know was that the queen had already grown suspicious of Gan Yuan's identity and had begun to investigate. As soon as Huang Fuju left, the queen received a phone call. "The file has been sent to your email, but you'd better prepare yourself. This Gan Yuan is no ordinary person." Moses looked at the unexpected guest, Tian Shuang, a trace of curiosity rising in his heart. He stated directly that he didn't like to play cat-and-mouse games and that she could say whatever was on her mind. Trembling, Tian Shuang took an invitation to the palace banquet from her bag. She hoped Moses would accompany her as her date. She wanted to use his background to intimidate those who coveted the Locke family. But there's no such thing as a free lunch. Tian Shuang offered, as payment, to introduce Moses to anyone he wanted to meet. But Moses was dismissive. He slowly approached Tian Shuang, saying he wasn't interested in any of that. He didn't forget to tease, "Miss Shuang, your heart is beating so fast." This near-zero distance contact made Tian Shuang's heart pound uncontrollably. She cautiously proposed another reason that I like you. "If you marry me, you'll get all the assets of the Locke family." This seemingly very tempting offer was ignored by Moses. Everything he did was for one person, Gan Yuan. Just as Tian Shuang thought she had been rejected and was about to flee in despair, Moses called out to her, "I'll pick you up early." Tian Shuang couldn't help but be stunned. He had actually agreed. Tears of excitement welled up in the corners of her eyes. Then, she turned around, revealing a knowing smile. After Tian Shuang left, Moses immediately sent someone to investigate her. This person was not Duke Locke's biological daughter, yet she could still become the Duke's heir. How could this appointment be so simple? The reason he agreed to her invitation was to be able to see Gan Yuan at the royal party. At the same time, Moses was also investigating Gan Yuan's background. He had to find out who Gan Yuan's father was. He knew that the reason Gan Yuan betrayed him was because of her father. He could forgive Gan Yuan's betrayal, but he could not forgive the man who took Gan Yuan away. Gan Yuan's father should not exist in this world. On the other side, Huang Fuju and Gan Yuan, dressed to the nines, were on their way to the banquet. Huang Fuju had a serious expression, instructing Gan Yuan, "After the banquet starts, I can't be by your side at all times. So no matter who the other person is, don't let yourself be taken advantage of." Gan Yuan was unconcerned, teasing, "Is there anyone more difficult to deal with than you?" At the royal palace banquet, Huang Fuju inevitably ran into Moses. A suffocating aura emanated from both of their eyes. Moses took Gan Yuan's small hand and praised, "You look beautiful tonight." He completely ignored the dark expression on Huang Fuju's face beside them, and then kissed her hand. Gan Yuan hastily pulled her hand back and fled in disarray with Huang Fuju. She was afraid of the intense confrontation between the two men. At this moment, thinking of the bigger picture, Huang Fuju could only glare, though his eyes were filled with hatred and displeasure. Soon the banquet began. Gan Yuan was seated next to Huang Fuju and Li Ji. Although she wore a smile, her heart was uneasy. She couldn't help but look towards Moses, hoping he wouldn't do anything out of line at such a grand royal banquet. With the entrance of the king and queen, the originally noisy and lively scene immediately fell silent. The entire dining process also seemed unusually quiet and boring. Just as everyone was sinking into the deathly silent atmosphere, the queen's sudden change altered everything. Actually, I also find this kind of banquet extremely boring. So for the rest of the time, everyone can enjoy themselves to the fullest. It turned out the queen had not only personally prepared the food, but had also designed various programs for the banquet. This was the real fun of the party. Just then, Tian Shuai came forward, saying a friend wanted to meet Gan Yuan. Huang Fuju immediately became vigilant, looking at Tian Shuai with a serious expression. Tian Shuai was immediately frightened by this powerful aura, breaking out in a cold sweat. Seeing this, Gan Yuan hurried to smooth things over. She knew that if she decided to be with Huang Fuju, she had to have the awareness of a future queen. This kind of social interaction was definitely essential. She prepared to handle it all herself, gave Huang Fuju some instructions, and then followed Tian Shuai to chat with the noble ladies. But in the queen's archery room, she was targeted by Miss Smith. Speaking of which, the two had some history. Her sister had planned to kidnap Gan Yuan and was ordered to be executed by Huang Fuju, which led to Huang Fuju refusing all cooperation with the juice industry. Thus, the two had a major grudge. Meeting by chance today, how could this scheming woman let it go so easily? She took advantage of Gan Yuan admiring the queen's bow and arrow to start stirring up trouble. Under Annie's instigation, the straightforward Princess Betty gradually developed hostility towards Gan Yuan, even disregarding that she was the woman by Huang Fuju's side. She directly declared she wanted to compete with Gan Yuan, arrogantly taking out her own bracelet as the prize. If she lost, the bracelet would belong to Gan Yuan. If she won, she would take any one item from Gan Yuan. Gan Yuan was caught off guard by this sudden provocation, but she took a closer look and saw it was the princess of country Y, so she naturally understood a bit. Anyone who could appear at the palace banquet must have a connection to the royal family. I can't do anything to embarrass Huang Fuju. So she politely refused, but Betty was relentless, looking like she wouldn't give up until she got her way. At this point, Tian Shuai hurried to smooth things over. But who knew? The straightforward Betty just wanted a simple admission. Just admit that your archery is not as good as mine. This aggressive attitude left Gan Yuan speechless. All right, I admit defeat. You win. But Betty was not happy. Why did this woman just admit defeat directly? Just as she was feeling indignant, she saw Gan Yuan coolly pick up a bow. With a whoosh, it hit the bullseye. Princess Betty beside her was already dumbfounded. This was more than just skilled. It seemed like she hadn't even looked just now, hitting the bullseye with one arrow. Such a technique couldn't be mastered without more than 10 years of practice. Moreover, that confident look had already made me admire her completely. She hurriedly offered her bracelet. Gan Yuan waved her hand in refusal that we didn't have a competition. But the straightforward Betty didn't care and put it on her directly. Gan Yuan didn't forget to issue a challenge that don't get too cocky. I will challenge you again to win this bracelet back. At this moment, Gan Yuan seemed to understand. She had originally thought she was another arrogant young lady like Nancy, but she didn't expect this one to be so refreshingly straightforward and interesting. The two became friends after their clash, cheerfully making a gentleman's agreement. Betty was very unhappy about being used as a pawn, used by Annie, feeling that Gan Yuan was not at all like she had described, but was instead a straightforward person. But at this moment, Annie, who had been eager to watch the drama, was now very embarrassed and left with an excuse. But as she turned, she tripped on the stairs and fell flat on her face, immediately becoming the center of attention. When Gan Yuan went to the restroom, a pair of men's black leather shoes walked in.